Hello, folks, and welcome to the Video Game Choo Choo podcast. We are getting very close to episode 300. I hope you all are very ready for that, because we're not. Not yet, anyway. I'm excited to see what transpires for episode 300. Folks, January is already almost over, so we are already almost 1/12 of the way through 2020. Can anyone else believe that? I can't. Spencer, can you believe it?
I can kind of believe it. I gotta say, this first month with 2020 has been very up and down. Like 1 week it's like, oh man, so much great news and good things happening, and the next week it's like, oh, everything's bad again. It's like it can't decide. 2020 so far cannot decide whether it wants to be a good year or a tragic one.
Absolutely. Solon, how are you feeling about 2020 so far?
I'm kind of curious on what you mean by a tragic gamer year.
Oh, just gamers being capital G gamers.
If no games come out, is that a tragic gamer year, or is that like a fantastic gamer year?
I would call that like the gamer year of relief, because then we would just be able to catch up on all the games that everybody stockpiles and has a backlog of and just hasn't had the time to go back and play.
I feel like that's the case too. No, I feel like, yeah, if no video games came out this year, we just got a break for a little bit, I think that sounds fantastic. And we're gonna just go back to playing Super Mario Brothers, and that's it.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm. Elvie,
yeah.
How are you feeling about the year of the gamer 2020?
Well, it's like I blinked and January is almost gone, you know? It's one of those things where you reach that awkward time period after the holidays and nothing kind of happens, and then you kind of get this avalanche of a lot of things happening, like a weekend. Mm-hmm. It's like, what's going on? Oh. Well, it's kind of hard to judge, to be honest, and yeah, maybe when February 1 hits, all this stuff will happen, it's just like overnight, right?
You're filling me with so much dread. No, y'all, we have an entire week still of January. This whole month goes out to the 31st, don't worry. The next month goes out to the 29th for some reason.
Oh, it's leap year, is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, exciting. Well,
we
February
got time.
is so short, 2 days short, but I think that's too short. Why is February there? It might as well not. Well, nothing happens in February. In the States, we for some reason observe President's Day, but I get a day off. That's great. But other than that, for some reason, we observe President's Day, but nothing happens in February. And Valentine's Day, but not everyone believes in Valentine's Day, so February is just like a filler month.
Wait, are there like Valentine's agnostics? Do they not believe in the sanctity of Saint Valentine's or his day? It's been a hot second. It's been a hot second since I last heard like people really going for Single Awareness Day, and it's like, but. Oh, I thought that was just a funny haha high school thing.
No, I think there's some people who take that really seriously and not in a great way. I don't know, but I know it's been a hot second since last year, so maybe people have learned to, love yourself, but don't be toxic about it. But I don't know.
Also, maybe chill out.
chill out with, chill out with, be proud of your relationship you have now with multiple people, one person, however many people you love, romantically, platonically, etc., chill out with that, but be proud, but also chill out if you don't have that. I don't know what's the right advice for that.
Yeah.
Just chill out.
Be normal. That's the advice.
Yeah, be normal.
Chill out, be normal.
Yeah. And we're totally normal.
Oh, completely.
Very normal.
I don't know what the fuck you're all talking about. All right. So for the most normal video game podcast on the internet, I think we should talk about video games.
Okay.
There wasn't a lot of news this week, but there was what was interesting, I feel like. Why don't we jump into the news? Okay, so there was talk about the PS5 and also talk about the Xbox One X. Should we? Which do y'all want to discuss first? Are we more Sony heads or Xbox boxers?
I wanna-
that we fight for the Xbox.
I want to talk about the best console first. What we already know is going to be the best one.
the Switch.
Well,
Wow.
that's not on the table for reasons.
The PC.
God damn it. You know what? Screw it. We'll just talk about the PS5 first, and then the Microsoft Xbox X. We're going in alphabetical
All right.
order,
The box.
so Xbox goes last.
Okay, I'm down with that.
All right.
That's fair.
So, some interesting stuff has happened in the realm of the leaks, the PlayStation 5 leaks. There's a good chance that this isn't real. Okay, you take this with a huge grain of salt, especially as the supposed date gets closer. It'd be a little difficult to believe this if they don't give people time to prepare. But there was a post on 4chan where someone claimed that they knew a lot about the PS5's release and a lot about when it's going to get revealed and all the launch games, etc., etc. Excuse me. They say it's going to be revealed in February, right at the start of February, first week of February, and they'll have a big event in New York.
What, is it going to be a state of play? Is that the event?
It sounds like it's going to be more of a physical event, like they usually have for consoles, where they're going to have people, they're going to have people fly out and see it and announce all that stuff.
What? How are they going to do that in a week? But people don't know about it yet.
I mean, maybe people do know about it and they just haven't said so yet.
Really? Yeah? Okay.
Maybe.
Keep going.
They sent
Maybe.
private invitations to the right people.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Who knows? They are
Private
claiming that the console will be $500 and will launch in October. And they talked about some of the games that are apparently going to be released at launch.
Oh God! Wow,
So-
this 4chan post went deep. Okay.
Yeah.
Very bold.
So this is when it kind of starts to fall apart for me because the first half is believable,
Knack.
and then once they get a little bit further, it's like, okay, all right. So the launch games that they're claiming are going to include Gran Turismo 7, which okay, not a surprise. A new MLB The Show, all right. Godfall, which we know about. A new IP from Sony Santa Monica called Legends with a Z.
Oh,
And finally for the launch, which again, this isn't too much of a surprise, a Demon's Soul remaster.
hell yeah. Let's do it. Let's go. Fuck yes.
I mean, there's been all those rumors that that's what Bluepoint is working on. So, yeah.
All of those except for the Santa Monica one sound like the safest leak ever.
Yeah.
So this is when it starts to get a little hazy.
Okay.
All right. So they said that they will also announce at the reveal event Horizon Zero Dawn 2, or just Horizon 2, whatever they're going to call it. A sequel to Spider-Man, which, that makes sense as well.
Mm-hmm.
A new Crash Bandicoot game, which is not a surprise. There's been, some leaks and some, there's been, videos from Toys from Bob where they, if you look at the background, you'll see that they, have concept art for a new Crash game. They're making a new Crash game.
Yeah, Crash has been back for a while now.
Yeah, they're making a new one. Okay, so this is when it starts to be I don't know, y'all. A new sci-fi IP from Naughty Dog.
Oh.
That seems a bit soon after they're doing Last of Us 2.
Yep.
New IPs from Japan and London studio. Which, okay. A new Resident Evil game. Which, again, and Final Fantasy 16.
Oh shit.
Wow.
That's the one that's very much like
So that's where
really
the point where you're
don't think
like, all right, I gotta admit they had us in the first half.
yes, that is they had us in the first half, I'm not gonna lie, of this. I don't know if I fully believe that. They also claim that there will be complete and total backwards compatibility. They weren't 100%. They didn't fully explain how it was going to work, but they did say that, like, you know, if you have a PS4 game, you'll just be able to put it in the PS5. You'll be able to transfer, like, your save data from PS4 to PS5. And if you have digital games, they'll just automatically work on PS5. And I guess they also kind of mentioned, like, hey, if they, like, maybe the same thing for, like, PS3 and, like, PS2 and PS1 classics. I don't know if that means that you'll be able to, like, stick a PS1 game in the PS5 and it'll work, but maybe they'll just have all the PS1 games that are available on, like, PS3 and PS Vita. Those will just work. And they also said that PSP games will work too. But
Okay.
no Vita. No Vita. So, you know. So the one thing that kind of corroborates this, which is kind of crazy, but the leak claimed that PlayStation's new big slogan that they're going to, like, hinge everything on, the new slogan is going to be, "It's time to play." And right after this leak happened, Sony or PlayStation Europe's Twitter added "It's time to play" to their bio.
Oh shit.
So
Maybe
who knows?
Maybe all of those, like, high risk shots, like the Final Fantasy 16 and stuff, maybe that's stuff they're gonna say, like, when they announce this console in earnest, they're gonna say, like, these games will be on this console in the future, because they've done that before, right?
I mean, kinda. I mean, you know, like, I think they're like claiming that they will have, like, some sort of reveal here. Well, they will announce this.
It could also not be necessarily like a Final Fantasy 16 game, but some sort of Final Fantasy game, but probably not one in the main series, chronology.
I mean, it's been a while since 15,
It's been 2
and
years.
no,
it's
like
been 4 years.
My only question is, like they're still working on Kingdom Hearts shit, kinda, sorta, it seems like, and the 7 remake's still, like, in such a weird place. It would, like,
It
I
would
don't know.
overlap the 7 remake, and I think that's not something they would want if they were to release a new, like, completely new title in the series.
I mean, like, if 7's gonna be episodic, then they're definitely gonna release something between, like, the first part release and the second part release. Like, I would just love to know, like, what kind of teams they have at Square Enix, where they have enough people, enough lead developers, especially, to make the 7 remake. And what, like, I think they said that there's still going to be another Kingdom Hearts team, like, working on another Kingdom Hearts game. And Final Fantasy 16. That just sounds like a lot.
The Kingdom
But who
Hearts
knows?
game is more plausible than 16, I think.
Yeah.
The fun part about this is that they can, I mean, even if you take this as, like, yeah, this 4chan guy, they nailed it. Every single one of these. This is what they're going to announce for the PS5. Every single one of those things, Sony can totally announce for the PS5 and then just, like, have it be, it'll come out whenever it comes out. Buy your PS5s now.
Yeah, a lot of the really wild stuff is, like, all of that stuff's gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
more just, like, it's a when, not an if. And, yeah, they'll make another Resident Evil. Yeah, they'll make Final Fantasy 16.
Right, Santa Monica
that's all
Studios,
gonna happen.
they're making a game. Like, you can't stop them making a game.
They're gonna make a sequel to Horizon. They're gonna make a sequel to Spider-Man. Like, yeah, that's all happening.
Naughty
It's
Dog's
just,
got a studio
like,
doing some stuff that's not Last of Us.
I mean, I don't know if they'll make a sci-fi game, but, they're making something, and, it'll happen. It's more just, like, and then also all the launch stuff is pretty basic stuff too. Like, I mean, the only thing that's kind of like oh shit, it would be the Dark Souls remaster, and then even then, like, that's something that everyone's wanted, and Blue Point's been working on something for ages. Like, they've been like, yeah, we've been remaking something, it's a big deal, it's a big project, and everyone's like, is the Demon Souls remaster? And they're always like, hush, hush. So it's like, it's gonna happen, you know? Like, so they're gonna remake Demon Souls eventually.
But beginning of February, I don't know about that. That seems way too early, almost.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I listened to the Bombcast, and, like, on last week's episode, they were like, oh, we haven't heard about this yet. So it does seem like it's very, like, last minute if they got invited. Like, they might not have said anything yet. If maybe they got invited, like, a couple of days ago, like, after the Tuesday podcast, maybe they got invited. I don't know.
I could also see Sony just throwing something together and being like, all right, this is going to be the hottest thing. And then it's just like a slapdash another State of Play situation where they just put on a video and everyone's like, oh, this is the least interesting way to display all of this great information. What if there was like a place that you could go where you could tell everyone all of the cool games that you want to make for your new console?
Maybe
you don't want to go to E3? Keanu Reeves is there.
Maybe they were planning to do a big event and they canceled it, and now they're just going to do something small, you know? Like, who knows?
Yep. Maybe they're just going to have a mixer, you know? Just have a small little gathering and have
a
some
mixer on
drinks.
Mixer?
Oh, a mixer on Microsoft Mixer. Bold moves.
Yeah, that's a big brain play. Advertise your new console on the competitor's streaming service. I like it. All right. Do you want to talk about the Series X now after this?
So, as gamers, we demand a lot, and
as gamers,
sometimes what we demand is, high fidelity graphics, 3 HDMI ports. Curves? ? But the Series X allegedly has maybe one of those things.
Which one?
The graphics probably. So allegedly the Series X butt was leaked.
The butt has leaked.
On NeoGAF, I guess. It's God, I thinking about NeoGAF is wild in 2020. Anyway, there's a photo on like Polygon which has like the back of the Xbox Series X, and it is just a black box. It's like a computer tower looking thing, and apparently it only has one HDMI port, and it's kind of featureless. But, I mean, it's the back of a console. Of course, it's going to look like nothing because you're not supposed to see that part.
Yeah.
But what's even funnier is that the serial code was exposed. Whoever posted that did not cover the serial code. So someone was able to look it up and maybe confirm it's actually real. I
mean, there's people in the know who have seen this already, and they said that it is real. The serial code thing is more... oh, this person who like, you know, has this prototype or has this dev kit, Microsoft has those serial codes on file. Yeah. They know exactly who posted that.
They might get fired from something. They're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah. That's the weird part about this. Like, it's also like not even like in it. Like, why? Like, why did we need to see the Series X buttocks? Like, why now?
Just
why
a tease. A little tease.
Just a little peek at the back of the box?
Peek, yeah. Uh-huh.
They could have at least put, like, some... you know what they should have done? They should have put, like, gotten some, like, lingerie or some, like, boxer briefs and put it over the serial code.
Get one of those novelty t-shirts where, you know, the ones you get in, like, Vegas where, like, it's got the butt hanging out of the back.
Oh, God, yeah.
Need to make a custom
really
hat that's, like,
t-shirts.
Gamers want me, Sony fears me.
Bikini inspector.
So I'm looking at the butt of this Xbox. I'm looking square at its ass, and
He's
There's
square at his
nothing-
square ass.
there's nothing back
Exposed.
here.
Yeah,
Really isn't.
Empty.
pretty much. It's a slate. It's just a black box.
Yes. So it has 2 USB-A ports, an optical audio port, an Ethernet port, 1 HDMI port, and the power connector. It also has, because it's a prototype, it also has a diagnostic port. And I think there's like one other like weird ass like long port thing that nobody knows what the hell it is.
Just one long boy right in the middle.
Yeah, there's one long boy. I don't know what that could be. Maybe it's like a memory card slot or something, or maybe it's just like,
I thought that was
Maybe
the
you just-
diagnostic thing.
I don't think it is.
John, that's where my rectangles go.
Oh, okay, that's for the
Oh,
rectangles.
that's where
alright.
that's where the eye block goes in Tetris. You just slide it right in there.
Once you slide it in there, then your Xbox Series X just goes away.
Oh no. But yeah, there's
Be
nothing
careful,
back
don't
there.
act-
2 HD or 2 USB
No.
slots, that's it? One HDMI
Yeah.
slot, that's it? That's like this is
Yeah.
half of what's on my Xbox One.
I mean, this is a prototype.
Right. That's
So-
what I'm kind of wondering about too, is that even though we're looking at this, it still doesn't seem like finished. It seems like the bare minimum of what you would use for prototype purposes as opposed to what they would want to send out to retail.
Also,
maybe
side
it is.
note, it's not red in any way. Why did they even call this Project Scarlet if there wasn't going to be even a single red speck of anything on here?
Holy crap, Spencer, you're right that you should feel robbed that this is a black box that doesn't have any red accents.
And this,
Maybe-
like, look, there's also no X either, aside from the tiny little Xbox logo. Like,
Maybe
come
it
on.
will glow red.
Oh,
Like
that
you know
would-
how
that would
you know
be
how
cool.
computer like different like customized lights for whatever reason. You know, just
Yeah.
just for the sake
I
of
would
it.
like that.
Yeah.
That's some gamer stuff, but also
Yeah,
I would be into that actually.
I mean, like if they're really like trying to emulate a tower in some capacity, I wouldn't be surprised if there's gonna be some version of it. Well, that will have like a transparent side or something. I mean, they probably won't do that. I'd be surprised if they did.
That would
So-
be cool, so they're not
But we
gonna.
need to, yeah.
Assuming the like rectangle slot is just like part of the prototyping because nobody knows what the hell it's for, and it's probably for some sort of like, is proprietary the right word? Like proprietary device that people who would have
Something like
access to
that.
this would have. Imagine that's gone, and then you basically have room for like 2 more HDMI slots, or like one more HDMI and then another USB-A. So
Something like that. I mean, I don't know. Do we need more HDMI? Because like,
I don't know. I was just cracking a joke earlier because
yeah.
I'm very curious what that fucking rectangle slot is for, though. Like,
The cryptid rectangle in the back.
so
Jack
curious.
shit. What if it's just for jack shit and they just wanted to have one?
What if it's where you store your emergency potato chip?
Oh fuck! I just need one
snacks.
more potato chip.
Hey, speaking of extra potato chips inside of your Xbox, have I ever told you how I got an Xbox?
No.
Yeah,
I got an Xbox One from a middle schooler for $50.
Oh, nice.
I don't know how
Oh,
often other
they're
people
hustling.
buy things from middle schoolers, and I don't even know how legal that is, but I did it.
I mean, you paid for a product and you got the product. I don't think anything
Yeah, I don't think
is
there's
legal
anything
here
wrong with that.
besides the strange, maybe possible power dynamic. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We're like, you know, as long as you weren't like, you gotta give it to me for $50, kid. I'll give you good grades. You know, like I don't.
No, yeah.
And I thought you'd do that.
His Xbox One was broken and the old model, and he'd already gotten the new model. And so I was like, yo, I would love an Xbox One. I'll give you $50 for it. And he's like, whoa, that's a deal. I love $50. I guess the only power dynamic thing would be like maybe he doesn't understand the value of money. But the disk drive was broken. It wasn't working. And so I popped that bad boy open and found it was full of the little like keychain store cards that you get. You know how when you sign up for a service and they give you like
Oh,
a little
yeah.
plastic keychain.
Yeah, a lot of them don't do
Yeah.
that now, and they just ask for your phone number, so it's like less waste.
It's
But I know
so
what you
much
mean.
less
I still have a
wasteful.
bunch of those. I have like a bunch of those still from like CVS, etc. Yeah.
I popped it
Yeah.
open, and there were 3 of them. There's one for the movie theater and 2 for the grocery store, but they were all in there. It was like I had a little keychain in there.
Do you
So
know if
that's
the
why
student
it was
has like a
broke.
little younger sibling that was sticking them in there? Or?
It's gotta be.
And that's probably the only reason why it was broke.
That was the only reason. It's been working
my
like
God.
a dream
Oh
ever
my
since.
God.
What were the businesses or or
There was
anything?
one for the theater, there was one for a
Okay.
local grocery chain, and then there was another for the big grocery chain.
Oh no!
But it was 3 little plastic things jamming the whole thing shut, and there wasn't any games in there, so I wasn't like dumpster diving for this kid's games or anything.
Well, now someone's not going to get discounted groceries. That's upsetting.
They can put in their phone number. God, I hope. I'm saving them from having to throw away their stuff.
Yes.
I've got that for them. But that's how I got an Xbox One.
Interesting.
That's how I plan on getting the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X as well.
For storing things, and
Yeah, for storing my chips.
I mean, people have people who have poked fun at it pretty quickly, compared it to like a fridge. That slot
Oh,
could,
yeah.
that slot could be like a toaster slot, possibly because it will heat up, right? So maybe, yeah.
Micro toast.
Yes, yeah,
Cinnamon
exactly.
toast crunch sized toast.
Yeah, side of toast with your gaming.
1970s microchip. 2020s micro toast.
Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, I love this.
Speaking of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I do have to mention the embarrassing thing that I keep doing, and that is, whenever I go food shopping, I'm usually pretty good at only buying what I need to buy, but the last few times that I've gone, I have bought cereal when I already have cereal, so I have like 3 boxes of cereal.
Are they all Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
No, one of them is Lucky Charms, and I did finish off the Honey Nut Cheerios. So
Nice.
I've just been having to eat like cereal like every morning now, and it's fine. But I was just like, oh wait, I already have cereal.
You've obligated yourself to your own ancient Greek cereal prison.
Do you do you
Yeah.
grocery shop with like a list on your phone or something?
I don't, and like I said, I'm normally good for it, but you know what? I should probably do that now.
Well, that's what we do. Just because like I have a really good memory, but sometimes like I'll always miss like one ingredient. Like, oh, I forgot to get chicken stock or whatever, some one-off ingredient that I only buy for that recipe. You should do that, and then you should put, John, do
not buy cereal.
You have like 4 tons of cereal in your house. You don't need
Not
more
buy
cereal.
any.
That's a good idea because I do write like a shopping list, especially throughout the week, like evaluating what I need. Also, like toiletries, etc. Not just
Oh, yeah,
not
absolutely.
just, but like I think like actually, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll remember things, and I've had that problem where like I forget one thing when I go back home. It's like I don't want to go back out,
Yeah.
or like maybe actually carrying a physical list will like stop me from like tempting purchases, right? Because
Yeah.
it will be just in my face saying like, hey, no, you got to commit to this agenda here.
It absolutely has been proven that like if you just buy what you need to buy and you write down what you need, like you won't waste money.
Yeah.
But like I said, like usually what happens is I go down the aisle that the cereal's in and I see that they have a 2-for-1 sale, and then I go,
shoot.
Oh no.
Oh, that.
and then I go, oh. But then here's what happens. I look and I go, oh, I want that. And then I think about it and I'm like, I don't want 2. And then I get home and I already have 2 and I'm like, oh, that's why. But yeah, there you go. That's the content. LV, why don't we hear from you? It's been a little bit.
It's been a little bit.
I'm gonna say that I think you should talk about the game that is, I guess, near and dear to your heart
Oh
here.
my god!
Because
I should. Okay.
yeah,
So I don't know like what other games have been, but like people have been playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, myself included. So that's been a wild past like couple of days. No, the game kind of came out last week, a little more earlier than that, but I got it like this week only. Wow, what can I say about it, like, without saying too much? I mean, there's really nothing to spoil about Dragon Ball Z, but it's more about the experience, I guess, and, like, I do intend on, like, writing a full review of it, but it's definitely something I need to, like, absorb more hours in. I would say maybe I have pumped in about, like, 4 to 5 hours in at this point, and I feel like I'm still not even, like, 5% of what this game is, like, has, right? So Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is like an adaptation of basically, well, literally the Dragon Ball Z series up to, I believe up to the final arc with Majin Buu, literally the whole Dragon Ball Z series, and it's just kind of readapting it into this video game format in this weird pseudo RPG, like quote unquote open world fashion. It's not open world though, like I will say why, open world kind of fashion thing. And yeah, you basically play, and like, you play the different characters of the series throughout the game, depending, what's relevant to be in that perspective in the story. So, like, in the beginning, you're basically playing Goku, You're gonna play Goku most of the time. It's, the name of the game is literally his name, Kakarot. And you're playing Goku for, like, in the beginning, up to the point before where he gets killed by his older brother, Raditz. Sad. And, it switches, and then after that happens, it switches over to you playing Piccolo. So it does stuff like that. I mean, this is so, obviously, if you're not, like, into Dragon Ball at all, there's no reason for you to play this. So, like, I like, the way they're framing it, there are a lot of cute things in it where, if you examine a certain, like, little corner, like, and it makes it obvious. There's, like, a lot of very obvious, like, visual cues for you to do something, etc. If you examine, like, a little corner of, like, for instance, the Kame House, it'll talk about a little thing like, oh yeah, like, in the original Dragon Ball series, but not framing it in that way, but just it talks about it in, like, in universe terms, like, saying, like, something like, oh yeah, like, Bulma and Krillin and, like, Goku, like, they were here, etc., for something, like, and it's really cute, and it, like, literally pulls up, like, a weird I don't know, they could have done better. It pulls up, like, a low-res screenshot. Of, like, that moment. It's not really low res, but I'm like, like, that's weird. Why don't they have they don't have the source, like, they don't have the archives of, like, getting, like, a kind of better looking HD, but anyway, but yeah, it does stuff like that, and that's cute. So, like, it clearly is a game meant for, like, fans. It, like, does it, like, this is not, like, the Dragon Ball game, I think, and if anyone wants to get into them, like, you should not play this. This is definitely, you actually, despite the fact that it's doing all this stuff, like, oh yeah, here, remember when this happened, like, it just flat, like, this is not a game for, like, someone who has no idea what's going on in the series. It literally will just jump right in, and I think a lot of the writing is, like, inherently funny and effective because you know about certain things, or you have grown up with the series, or have, like, attachment to it. So let me actually get to the gameplay. The game, like, advertises itself as an open world, but not really, because it's more like the maps are really big, and I feel like a lot of games say they're open world when their maps are just really big, and I think this is an example of it. Because, again, like, the game is segmented across, like, these different chapters, or, like, they try to frame it like episodes too, but you're kind of locked into certain places or certain maps. Actually, not certain maps, that's an odd way of saying it. You're locked into certain worlds or certain locations until you kind of finish the main storyline point of that particular place. So, you have things like a main quest, which is the stuff that will progress the story as the way things go in the anime, or the subquests, which are actually a lot of things that have not happened in the anime, which I found to be, like, really, like, one of the good parts in the game. So no, it's not really an open world game. You can't just freely go amok, like, especially, like, and again, like, it's hard for me to judge because I'm so early on in the game still that I don't have, like, a lot of, like, other locations. Like, I'm not even in, like, I haven't even gotten, like, past, like, yeah. So, like, you kind of have to be, it's kind of still very linear in that way. You're kind of limited to go beyond, like, the parameters of what the main objective is, even though there are, like, other things you can do that are technically optional besides the main objective, but, like, you're gonna likely want to do it anyway, again, if you're, like, a fan, and you're like, why would you want to skip out something on this? Like, who knows what things you'll get. And yeah, combat. So combat is, it shifts you into, well, yeah, the game is entirely played a third-person perspective. You see the character, and combat is, like, shifts you into this, kind of over-the-shoulder, POV, but not quite because, you're flying, etc., and it's just good. Combat feels great, like, in my opinion. Combat feels really great. It doesn't feel, and it's something that's easy to get used to. Again, it's like a lot of, if anyone has played any of the other Dragon Ball games where you're kind of in this free-for-all, like, you're flying, and then you're just kind of locked in on your target, so you don't have to kind of worry about that at all, which is great, because literally half the time when you're fighting, there's just pure chaos, and you can't really see what you're doing. But that's fine, because that's just how Dragon Ball is. But in terms of, like, beyond that, like, in terms of the normal gameplay, like, you're gonna be flying most of the time. But unfortunately, controlling flying, you're flying 90% of the time, and then you can, like, when you walk on ground, like, you're just walking, or you can walk really fast, etc. But you're flying 90% of the time in this game, because the locations are so big, and you're flying across these, like, nice, like, scenic cliffs, or, like, hillsides, to get to where you need to go. But the controls for flying, in my opinion, is atrocious.
Oh no!
And and it's weird. So a big agenda for me, like, this year is to, like, actually talk about accessibility issues, I think, with games. And this one is, like, a big, like, in that you can't really, again, you can't change you can't remap controls if you want to. Like, they're really, I'm playing the PS4 version. There really is nothing for me that I can find, at least so far. Like, if I'm being stupid, someone just let me know. Like, can I change, like, as far as I can't find it, I can change my controls. When you're navigating, when you fly, it's the left analog stick to move. But to go up and down, to change your axis to go horizontal and vertical, you have to use the triggers. But meanwhile, the camera's not locked, so you're still also kind of controlling the camera with the right analog stick. So if you're trying to try to picture this, like, with your hands and try to like understand what I'm trying to get, how awkward this is, like, especially when a lot of times you're kind of, like, going out control, like, flying super fast, or, like, you're trying to, like, do, like, a huge swerve. Like, there's a whole thing where there's, like, a bunch of collectibles that, collectibles you can collect when you're flying. That's a weird sentence, but yeah. But yeah, it just doesn't feel great. Like, whenever I'm, like, reading people saying, like, oh yeah, I got used to it, and I'm like, why isn't like the directional axis, like, locked into to the camera, like, control, where a lot of games with flying do that, or swimming. But anyway, I did also honestly get used to it, but, like, yeah. It's, like, absurd how, like, the main navigation in this game is just not great. It's like, But when you do get into the hang of it, and when you're just going flying straight, it really is, like, a nice, like, satisfying thing. It really does feel like this is the sort of, like, love letter that fans, wanted.
I'm trying to conceptualize this idea of Goku Flight Simulator that you're describing. Yeah. So you're saying, like, you control the pitch of, like, the up and down of Goku.
Yes, with the triggers.
With the left trigger and right trigger?
Oh, no, only for the right triggers.
Weird.
Only the right triggers. So right trigger and, like, right bumper or something?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, that's okay. So I have like 500 hours in Elite Dangerous, which is like a flight simulator but for, like, spaceships.
Yeah.
And it's designed for it, like, you can basically use a joystick, like a HOTAS or whatever, like a hands-on throttle and stick. You can use your keyboard. I use a controller though, and I've had to use, like, custom mappings that somebody figured out, and the ones that I use are really good, and I think they'd work well for this situation. So, like, you use the left and right triggers to determine speed, and then that frees up the sticks to do pitch, yaw, and all that stuff.
Say roll.
And, like,
I want to roll Goku.
Yeah, like, if you want to roll Goku, then you can just press left on the left stick. And if you want to pitch Goku up, you press, like, down on the left stick. And then if you want to
if you want to roll Goku, you press triangle.
Well, I guess there isn't really a reason to roll Goku outside of they're doing a cool trick.
Different kind of roll.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if, like, whoever was playtesting with this, and it's like, oh yeah, this is comfortable. Like, no, it's. I'm kind of, like, okay with it now. I'm kind of getting used to it. But again, like, I like 4 hours into the game, like, I should not be still, like, kind of struggling and getting confused as to what I should be pressing just to, like, go up and down, right?
You're getting some kind of weird, like, Superman 64 situation going on.
Well, yeah, and there are, like, there are hoops you go through, which is...
Oh no!
There are rings to go through. Yes, there are rings to go through. There are rings to go through.
I definitely feel like they should use, if they're going to have, like, bumper, like the right bumper and right trigger to determine anything with flight, it should be, like, speed, not
Yeah.
not.
But it's not that.
Pitch.
It's so if you want to go fast for anything, you actually it's L3. You press down on the left stick.
Whoa. That's like
And
a boost
that also
button,
goes
I guess.
the same for running. So yeah, like as you can tell, like my biggest problem with this game is the control scheme. It's just not. It's. But in combat, it's fine. It's like combat is like everything is a very specific. Combat has its own specific control scheme, which is weird. Like it's not consistent with when you're like just navigating on the map or like walking, etc. That's I think the big problem. But that's like my biggest complaint. In terms of like another complaint, if I'm going to go on this complaint tirade, the graphics is definitely subjective. Like I personally think like the colors are really way too saturated. I'm not sure what they're trying to do with it, but it's fine. You know, that's like whatever. It's acceptable. Like it looks like they kind of have this blooming filter on it that's really like oversaturating the reds. I'm not like it does not look like the show. It does not even look like, you know, what kind of the effect that was done in DB Fighter Z. Like I don't know what they're trying to go for. Like I think they're trying to make it look like there's a sun constantly burning, like it looks odd, but it's fine. That's not the issue. It's sometimes the models themselves sometimes snap in ways that don't seem finished. It's not very polished. Sometimes the animation is not polished. You know, and of course, setting aside, like, you know, I'm playing the game with the English language track because that's what I'm used to and that's what I'm used to hearing. You know, of course, like, there's gonna be lip syncing problems, and this is evident in like other Dragon Ball games where there's voice acting, so there's like lip syncing problems, and that's not a problem. But there are times, like, you know, if you're going through dialogue fast and you're clicking through, sometimes the models snap into the next animation and it just looks wrong and it's not done in a smooth way. And there is a noticeable bug. Where if you're doing a quest, sometimes the NPC you need to talk to is just not there. Like,
What?
Oh no.
I have had this happen 2 times already, and this could just be a bug, and hopefully they will fix this in the future, and this is something that can actually be fixed, but I have had this happen already 2 times where I am following the marker towards where this NPC is for me to finish this quest, and they're not there. So what I had to do was literally like trigger a combat encounter, so it kind of refreshed the map in a way. I don't know how this works, but then the NPC was there. It was so it's so odd. It's so odd. So when you go to combat, it doesn't cut away to a different screen. It literally just like you seamlessly just enter combat. That's it. So I don't know how that like. I don't know if there's like a hidden like loading screen between, but yeah. But yeah, that's mostly the issues aside. Like it's really like. Yeah, the aesthetics of it is kind of subjective, and also, like, there's something about it that's very unpolished in terms of, like, the quality. I think what the visuals could have been better, you know? Again, there's, like, a lot of spacious, like, areas in the maps, and, like, half the time it's like, oh, okay, yeah, they're just emphasizing how big it is, and, like, yeah, that makes sense. This would just be an abandoned wasteland. There's no one here. But other times it's like, oh, I feel like they could have added a little more trees. I don't know. And yeah, the control scheme. Those are, like, really the worst parts, I think, of the game. At least what I'm able to think of right now. But besides that, I think, like, content-wise, the game is really good. In terms of, like, again, like, just to go back talking about subclass, like, one of the biggest things they did that is well appreciated, and I think if they've been listening to people, like, all these years complaining about, like, the issues with Dragon Ball Z, is that they bring back a lot of certain Dragon Ball characters that kind of just disappeared in Z when the series got more action-oriented. Serious, and like they resurfaced them as like these NPCs you can randomly find in the maps just doing their own thing, or they're offering subquests and they're like acknowledged. They're like not forgotten. It's really neat. Like there's a whole thing with you know, Launch, for instance, the girl who has like these 2 different personalities. You know, and people are like, you know, what happened to her? She's kind of cool. She has a freaking gun. She could have done something in Z, etc. Right? Or Lunch. People also call her Lunch. Like, at some point, like, you know, I'm playing as Piccolo, and you find her just near a cliffside randomly. And she's like, oh, you know, she's in her, like, blonde, like, angry form, her aggro form, her Sekko mode. And, like, she's just complaining about, like, oh, yeah, like, you know, like, she's just complaining to no one. But, you know, if you talk to her, she's complaining to no one about, like, how she just accidentally crashed her car and now it just fell down a cliff. And if you go down the cliff, you do find the broken car, and, yeah, you'll get items. And that's just nice. Just those nice little things of, like, oh, yeah, like, we're acknowledging these people are still alive and existed throughout the series, even though we did not see them in any of these episodes. This is what they're probably doing in their idle time away from the main story of, like, what is actually going on. And these things are just inserted, like, yeah, in all the idle time that's not like the main events, with Goku and friends, and that's like neat. That's really nice.
Yeah, that
it's
sounds
cool.
like the open world actually working in Kakarot's favor as a game.
Yeah, like it's really, I feel like it's really strong in terms of again, because it's just literally readapting like what's been done.
You did just explain to us.
Filling in the things that people had questions about, like what would this character do? Like, what happened to this character? Like literally in this entire span of everything that's happened,
You did just explain to us that apparently in Dragon Ball Z, when launch wasn't on screen, it was because Piccolo flew over and was like, "Oh, sorry about your car, dog."
Yeah.
And then it was just like, "Hey, can I help myself to all the stuff in your car? You gonna use any of this?"
Yeah, and then like there's a character, like Yajirobe, like he actually. They inserted Yajirobe in a very important role where he actually is the person who helps Gohan a little bit, when Piccolo abandoned him. And Yajirobe is the one who taught Gohan how to cook. That was not in the anime at all. It is assumed that Gohan just fended for himself alone, or like talked to these random like there's a whole thing where Piccolo like goes back and forth between checking on Gohan, right? And yeah, there's like these little town like hubs in the maps, and it's like a lot of these unnamed. So besides like returning these like forgotten DB characters, they're also like actually adding life and like bringing like acknowledgement to the random townspeople that the Saiyans are just like constantly disrupting the lives of. So like they're not named, and you go to these town hubs, they have like things like shops and like buying food, which food is like the healing items you can cook in this game, and yeah, they when stuff happens, like if you talk to them, like their dialogue changes a little bit based on like the progress of the game. Like at some point, like when Gohan goes sicko mode for the first time, when like it's the first time he like sees the moon, and that's the Piccolo's like, oh shit, fuck. After that, like a little bit of the environment, like where he was, is destroyed a little bit. And if you talk to the townspeople again after that, they acknowledge that happened, and they're like, oh boy, like maybe that's just a dinosaur. And yeah, like the dinosaurs are like again like a normal species in Dragon Ball, they're alive and they're fine. But yeah, it's just those nice little like filling in the holes that were just absent in like the kind of the questions you have about the slice of life aspect of Dragon Ball. Like it's nice that they decide to like fulfill that in a way.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is cute. But yeah, like I think my biggest problem with the game so far is like just it. Like I just feel like the lack of polish. Like again, the controls and just kind of like the weird quirks when it comes to the graphics. It's like, okay,
yeah,
I don't know. Like
all of
were
those
they rushed to make it just
all of those kind of sound like if you were playing an Elder Scrolls game almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which they have the same kinds of things where it's like they have a very specific art style that's maybe not the most contemporary, but it works for what they do, and weird unmappable controls. That one I don't really have an analog for, but the idea that there's this big open world that is kind of sparse here and there, like that sounds like Elder Scrolls Kakarot is kind of moving at a good clip there.
So it's not. I would say like so far it's not a spectacular game, but it is a fun one, and I think that's what matters.
Oh, good.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to hear you have a lot to say about Kakarot, though.
I do.
Yeah, no, I mean, of all the people that would have something to say, it is LV, the Dragon Ball lover.
Yeah, and just to like re-emphasize about like I think how good like I think the writing is not writing, but just the stuff they're packing in. But like in the beginning when it's literally like pre Goku died for the first time. He actually has this like nice bonding moment with Gohan, which is like what a lot of people criticize about like like Goku was kind of like an absent father anyway. Like and they actually added like this nice dialogue where he's bonding with Gohan, and that's the point where they're teaching you how to forage and like get food for the first time and fishing. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
They're just filling all those gaps where I think the series needed. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, are there any games you want to talk about?
Oh, there are video games. Hey, I've talked about this game before, but I haven't talked about it in quite a long time. Supergiant Games' Hades has had a big update, and it's become so substantial that I couldn't avoid or ignore the fun roguelike game where you're escaping as the son of Hades out of the underworld and into the real world. It's awesome now. It was already awesome before, and in the last year, it was part of my game of the year for 2019. But now that it's 2020, they kind of put out their like big 2020 update where they cleaned up a whole bunch of stuff. And it's just been like, they're like totally in polish mode now. And so every time I jump into the game, there's like, they've reformatted all of the old collectibles and consolidated some things and added a bunch more collectibles, but then took all of the upgrades that I'd been getting this entire time through all of my multiple playthroughs of this game. They consolidated all of that into like their own menu system. And so I get to keep all of those upgrades that I'd been getting, but now they're extremely expensive. So had I not gotten them before, now they're something that's going to be like, people actually have to grind for this now. And I'm just like sitting there looking pretty like, this game's easy. Who even has trouble with Hades anymore? And so I'm watching folks like Krill's playing it for the first time and sweating, and I'm like, oh, that's easy for me. And I realize, that's easy for me because I've got all of the upgrades that make the game really easy. So, Hades is updated. They added a new god to it. Her name's Demeter, and she just turns everything into Frozen 2. It's all just Frozen Elsa. And that was actually something the game kind of needed. We have a bunch of gods that make you do really powerful things. There's a bunch of gods that make everything go faster. There's nothing that makes the enemies just go slower. Hey, everything else should just slow down around me. And so it's actually been really nice to come back into this game and be really rusty and not really know, but have it skew towards giving me this one certain god's power-ups, and having her thing be centered around freezing enemies.
That's neat.
Yeah, it's been great. It now has an ending. You now can fight Hades. It doesn't have like an ending after that point yet, like what happens when you actually beat Hades, but like you can now go through the whole game and you go through every like level of the underworld, and we know that there's not going to be any more like levels at this point. You're just going to beat Hades, and they're going to start writing endings towards that about like what does it actually mean to defeat Hades, because at the end of that they just kill you again and you go back to the start. They just like snap their fingers and like, hey, you're dead, bud. And they kind of wave it away like, we don't have an ending yet, just don't worry about it, just go back to the beginning, please. And you go back to the beginning, you revive, and you go to the like bedchamber chill out room where usually all the gods and all your friends are hanging out, and you talk to them about how you killed them last time, except your dad isn't there, and you're like, I guess I beat him back. I took the quick way back to home, which is dying. So yeah,
that's called a death warp.
Jeez,
wow,
it sure is. Zagreus death warp. Any percent.
I won't be able to experience Hades because my problem with Supergiant games is that every time one comes out, everybody plays it and they're like, oh, this is such a great game, Supergiant, man, they're so good at making video games. I was like, you know what? They probably are, but I still have this desire to play them in order, and I have yet to finish Bastion, because every time I play it, like, I get to a point and I'm just like, all right, I've had enough. I gotta get it. And then I stop playing it, so I've never finished it. And so I've told myself every time one comes out, like, I'm going to go back and finish Bastion, and then I'm going to play them in order, because I haven't played Transistor, I haven't played Pyre, and I obviously haven't played Hades, so...
Hey, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell... I'm going to tell everyone. Stop playing Bastion. Play the other Supergiant games, because they're all so much better. Bastion's not bad, not at all. Quite the contrary. But please, play the other ones. They're so good.
My goal for 2020 is to play all the Supergiant games.
That's a great goal.
So I'll talk to you about Hades in like June when I'm done with all of them.
No, you can just pick up Hades and then
No.
because it's a game that you're just gonna play in iterations, play it in little burst here or there. It only takes 45 minutes on a good run to get to the end of Hades, and then go play Transistor, and then that's a great cycle you can have.
I'm gonna be true to myself and play them in order like an absolute fool.
Spencer,
It's what I want to do. All right.
hey, you're doing it. No, that's actually really good.
I'm gonna do it this year though. The reason I want to play Bastion so much is because it's like one of my friends' like favorite games. I really want to finish it to sort of understand why it was one of their favorite games. So.
Oh yeah, no, I feel the same way. Bastion was another one that I didn't get through. I just kind of got halfway through and was like, well, that was fun. I whacked some things with the big hammer and the arrows and stuff. And now that I've got my hands on Hades, it's like, oh, this is like Bastion to the next level. Also, they added a bunch of dating elements to Hades.
They weren't in there already?
Well, with Zagreus, the main character, he can now date a bunch of different characters in the game. And like there was already this mechanic where you give people gifts and they give you like little dialogue options, and they give you different like encyclopedia entries. They tell you more about themselves in a lot of different ways, and they like it. And you get power-ups for that too. So you give them one of your gifts, just like a consumable item that you get very rarely in the dungeons, and they go, wow, you're giving this to me? Thank you. That's incredible. I didn't even know you liked me. Like, so you start like having this relationship with a lot of these characters that are very friendly. And a couple of them can now go beyond friendly, which isn't bad. It's very great. Both you can date the Grimp Reaper, and you can date like the one of the Furies, and she's got a whip. And she's she's
morning.
So these are both of the characters who are kind of the same age as Zagreus, and both have like very sassy kind of demeanors and play off of Zagreus in really good dynamic ways. The only weird part is that this is kind of following a lot of Greek myth, where they are kind of related through Greek stuff.
Yep.
But other than that little tiny like bump, it's fantastic because you can date them at the same time.
Oh.
Oh.
Is there no like punishment for that?
No.
Oh, thank God.
Because you're not dating the old gods, you're dating their kids who are like, our parents were dipshits, why don't we just all date each other? I don't get jealous about this because, look, I watched my parents do that and it was stupid then.
Oh, that's
all
so
right.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing with Zeus being just really, really a fuckboy, right?
Uh-huh.
So, I think
That's
you gotta
the
do
right
better.
word. That's the right word for that.
So now I'm just like pumping Megara and Thanatos full of
Just use the word
candy.
pumping.
I'm just pumping them with candy.
Okay,
I'm giving them all of my fun
right.
stuff.
It's just candy. Okay.
I'm giving them my juice.
Okay, well.
Your sugar.
All right, let's move on. All right.
It's literally juice.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Spencer, why don't you tell us a little bit about Assassin's Creed? I'm gonna say you wrote down that you would talk about it for half an hour. I'm gonna say do not do that.
Well, the 30 minutes thing is more like it's not just going to be about Ass Creed. It's going to be about the other stuff. But like,
Okay.
Ass Creed's the avenue to talk about that stuff. So
We actually can't say ass. This is a Nintendo production.
so
you have
I'm
to
gonna
call
say
it.
Ass Creed.
You have
just
to call
because
it
saves me
Ezio's
syllables.
Creed now,
Oh, Jesus
like
Christ.
Super Smash Brothers says.
So this week I've been replaying the Assassin's Creed series. I started with 1, I finished 1 and 2, and I'm currently on Brotherhood. I've played all of them up to Unity before, but I never finished Unity because Unity had a lot of launch issues with its glitches, and it was the part where Ubisoft really heavily leaned into, we want this to be an online experience, and you can unlock new gear, but you have to do like raids with other people online to get them. And I lost interest. Not to mention the fact that leading up to Unity, I think that was the point where like pre-order culture like really fucking exploded with Ubisoft, because they had like a little like roulette you could do like every day to like win prizes as long as you pre-ordered the game or whatever. It was nuts.
What? I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It was bad. But the other thing was that like one of the things with Unity was they were selling this like relationship between like the protagonist of Unity and like this female lead character, and people thought like, oh, are you going to be able to like play as her, or like on the online mode, are you going to be able to like play as like a female assassin? And that was like the first game, I think, where like some big company was like, it would be too difficult to add playable women to our video game, and everybody pointed like basically made a laughing stock out of Ubisoft, not because the work wouldn't be hard, but because like they should have like already done the work for that. And so every year since, we've had like somebody saying like, we can't put playable women in our video game because it's too much work or whatever. And it's like, it's not really the fact that the work is hard, it's more the fact that
you didn't plan it correctly to make that a
you
thing.
did not plan this out properly. So
you didn't think
course,
about this obvious use case of your game.
Of course, the next game in the series, there was like a brother-sister duo who were playable, so you were able to play as like an actual female character in that one. And it wasn't like they hadn't made like a female protagonist before. I don't remember her name, but she's the protagonist of
There was
Liberation.
that spin-off.
Yeah. It was like a PSP game, but then they actually like remastered it and released it on the PS3. It was pretty good because she had like her own unique things where she could disguise herself as different like people, basically, like different like she could disguise herself as like a scullery maid or whatever, and that was pretty cool. But the Ass Creed games are interesting. Like revisiting them in 2020 is very funny because like, especially with Ass Creed 2, they sort of lean into like the conspiracy theory of like this big, huge like shadow organization that's been slowly like turning the dials and societies around the world and sort of turning everybody to like bow to their whims. And so there's a lot of like conspiracy theory stuff like, oh, we're gonna like pin like all of these like coups and stuff on the US government, and so like it's gonna lead it so that everybody's all like buying into capitalism and stuff. And it's like, in 2020, it's like, this stuff is just like out there. Like we already know about all this stuff. So it's not really like a conspiracy theory, but they just add another layer to it to make it seem like a huge, big fuck off deal.
Right, even when those... sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
But even when those games came out...
Yeah.
Like, it's known, like, things like that happen.
Yeah.
It doesn't... You could, like, you know, even in, like, a basic history class, you would learn about this stuff, unfortunately. You know, which is necessary to know about. You gotta be aware of these things. But that's just, like, even back then, it's just kind of funny that they felt like that was a very, very mind-blowing, like, element. You know?
Yeah.
It's not really, though, like, especially now, it's just more so, like, especially kind of dated.
It's just kind of funny that, like, a game like this would have, like, this message of, like, hey, socialism good? And then it's just, like, it's presented in this way where it's, like, this huge mind-blowing thing, and it's like, it's... Yes, but also, like, it doesn't need to be this huge, bombastic thing. But talking about the actual games themselves, like, the reason I've liked them is because I think they're games that do stealth well, because you're never punished for failing stealth, and that's kind of the big issue with a lot of stealth games, because like you either have a game that has a stealth system built into it, or you have a game that doesn't, and then at one point you have to do like a forced stealth section at one part, you know. And those forced sections always suck. Because those games aren't designed around stealth in mind, so they kind of just have to like ham-fist it in there. But when a game is actually designed around stealth, even then it's kind of hard to like make stealth rewarding because like one of my favorite games is like the very first like Thief game, The Dark Project, and that game does stealth really well, but if you play on higher difficulties, you get punished for failing stealth. So you have to completely stealth missions. But if you play on like the normal difficulty or even hard difficulties, you're not punished as much. It's just kind of like it makes things harder because the combat in that game sucks. In Ass Creed, the combat is fine. Like it's pretty like expansive for what it is. I wouldn't say it's like action game levels of expansive, but like you have to do things like timing inputs or combining inputs. You have to read your opponent and stuff, which is a little bit more than like usual typical action games where you just like hold a trigger to shoot a gun or mash the attack button as much as possible and block and dodge accordingly. But with Ass Creed stealth, it rarely ever demands that you do things 100% stealth, and when you fuck up, it doesn't always, you're not like really punished for it. It's just kind of like, okay, now I gotta shift to combat, or I can shift to like running away, or I can just like throw a smoke bomb down and then just like have pretend stealth and stab a bunch of people. So
yeah, I like that,
really weird.
that there's that thought in stealth games that when you come out of stealth, when you are spotted, that is a bad thing. Like that is a lose case in the stealth game. Where Assassin's Creed is just like, no, that's a mode change. Instead of that being like you lose, okay, we're changing to combat mode, and you have the opportunity to go try to get back into stealth mode or to engage in the combat mode. It's not a lose, it's just a changing of the schema entirely. And I think that's the big difference between stealth games that know what they're doing and stealth games that don't.
Yeah, they don't really start punishing you for doing stealth until Brotherhood, which is what I'm on now, where they started adding like bonus objectives to each like story mission, basically, where it's like, and sometimes the bonus objectives are cool things like only kill your target, don't kill anybody else, or do this task like in a specific position, like kill an enemy while like riding a horse or whatever, or like use a crossbow bolt to snipe somebody. Sometimes, though, they're really boring video game ones, like do this task in less than 2 minutes for an arbitrary reason.
Oh, no.
Sometimes it's like you can't be detected. And the main issue with these bonus objectives is they're in universe, they're less packaged as like bonus objectives that you get rewarded for. They are like the canonical events that you're reliving, like Ezio did this task in under 8 minutes, so when you are playing as Ezio, you have to do it under 8 minutes or you're doing the non-canon run, and so you get punished. You don't even really get rewarded, like, because the whole point is like you're supposed to be like synchronizing with the memories, and so like if you do the bonus objective, you get 100% synchronization, but if you fail them, you only get 50%. So it only ever feels like a failure. And the reward that it offers is like nebulous when you're starting out because you don't know what you get for doing 100% synchronization. You don't know what you're working towards. So it's a bad way to do bonus objectives in general because like on one hand, it's like this could encourage like different play styles and using different tools and exploring the whole scope of what the gameplay has to offer. And then it's just like, but instead it's like, do this shit or I'm going to slap a fucking F on your performance report. So
yeah, that doesn't sound like a bonus objective at all. That sounds like an expected objective or the actual real objective.
Yeah, the last thing I'll talk about though, and this is the big thing I wanted to touch on with playing these games, is Ass Creed 2 is probably one of those great sequels like Kingdom Hearts 2, like I'd put it like up there with Kingdom Hearts 2 because it really just improved everything about the first game. Like, because when people think about Ass Creed, aside from all of the bad shit, like when they think about the games, not the company and the practices that the company has done, they usually think about some motherfucker with a blade on their wrist jumping off of a building and stabbing somebody. That wasn't in the first Ass Creed. You couldn't do that. They added that in Ass Creed 2. And it's so wild to think about when I was going back and playing Ass Creed 1 and I was like, wait, why can't I jump off this building and kill a guy? Literally, like the opening video literally has Altair do that. Why can't I do it in this game? This is so dumb. So, and I really, like a lot of video game sequels go like many different routes. Like usually, sometimes they're really great and they expand upon all the stuff. But sometimes they're really bad because they like go a direction that people didn't want, or they try something new and it doesn't work out. And it made me think about how like sequels in general for video games are on a whole different level from other forms of media, because like when you have a second installment of a series for a movie, like it usually either goes one of three ways. It's either a sequel to the first one installment's events, it's a prequel to the first installment's events, or it's like a retelling or alternate dimension thing. And when thinking about it, like normally with books and movies or TV shows, they usually go the prequel or the sequel route. Like you think of Breaking Bad, and then you think of Better Call Saul, like that's a prequel to the events of Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. And then like the alternate dimension or retelling, that's usually done when they're like remastering a series that's like 30 years old, or or it's like a comic book thing where it's like, okay, we're going to talk about like the alternate dimension version of these events or whatever. But with video games, it's like they can do all those things, but then they also have that level of gameplay that they have to do, and usually like that involves like expanding on what's going on. Like with Kingdom Hearts 1, like that was a good game, and then with Kingdom Hearts 2, they're like, oh yeah, you can also like form shift now. And there's other things like the world's expanded upon, the characters are expanded upon, but also the gameplay is expanded upon. So, and like video game sequels don't even have to be plot related to each other. Like you think of like Super Mario games or Legend of Zelda games, like rarely are those plots like connected so that you have to play them in a specific order. So...
Except for the Supergiant games. Those you do have to play in a specific order.
The Supergiant games, you do have to play them in order.
So I'm wondering, what you're talking about Assassin's Creed. Why did you stop playing it, though? So the reason I stopped playing it was, like, so it used to be, like, one of my favorite series because I'm a huge stealth nut. I like the stealth games. And Assassin's Creed did a good job of that. I've said this before. I'm not sure if I've said it before on this podcast, but like, I usually play like the thief rogue type classes and characters in games and RPGs and stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought you played every class 100% character in MMOs and RPGs.
Well, that's only in Final Fantasy XIV.
Okay.
We'll talk about that later.
Yep.
We're not talking about that later on this episode.
That was really good, though. You scared the shit out of me for a second.
Just for the viewers back home, we're not going there. But the thing is, on the scale between thief and assassin, I like the thief side more. I don't really like doing the most amount of damage and killing all of the bad guys. I usually just like doing support utility things like picking locks, disarming traps, stealing shit. Maybe helping in combat a few times. And so, like, as far as the assassination part of Assassin's Creed, I was just kind of like, yeah, this is just kind of a thing. You know, whatever. But I used to really like the series. When Unity came out, though, there was that whole big thing I mentioned earlier about, like, pre-order culture had gotten out of control, and they were talking about, like, the female character thing, and I was like, look, I can kind of understand them not having the foresight to add playable female characters in the multiplayer, despite the fact that Brotherhood and Revelations and Assassin's Creed 3 all had playable female characters in the multiplayer. Like, Brotherhood introduced multiplayer in Assassin's Creed, and there are female characters you can play as. Same thing, and they, like, kind of recycled some of those characters for Revelations, and they added new ones. Like, my favorite one in Assassin's Creed 3 was, like, this lady who has, like, a hunting rifle. It was really cool. But with Unity, I basically told myself, like, look, if that female lead character, I think her name is Emily, if she's not playable at any point, I'm done. I'm not buying another Assassin's Creed game. And she wasn't playable, so I didn't buy one. All right, I stopped playing the games. Like Syndicate came out, and I was like, oh, cool. It's cool that they added a female playable protagonist now, but they should have done it earlier. Because now it just because after that, it kind of felt like they were just trying to, like, save face. So. But I think after Syndicate, that's when they decided they probably shouldn't release a new game every year or year and a half. because they were going to town on those for a while. And then like they released Origins, and Origins was fine, but the whole reason I'm like replaying these games is because I actually do want to like catch up and see what's going on with the new ones.
That makes a lot of sense.
So
you fell out of Assassin's Creed because they lost your trust, which is this is a classic Ubisoft like arc. But now they've put out so many games that they've actually been able to rebuild your trust because, you know, they kept making good games.
I mean, a lot of people liked Origins, and that was like after like a lot of people like were pissed with what happened with Unity.
Yep.
So
yeah,
but
that's kind of the Ubisoft arc, is like, you know, screwing a bunch of things up, breaking trusts, and then having to rebuild it the hard way. And they follow through with that. You know, we've seen it a couple times.
So, but yeah, that's what I've been doing this week, and I'll probably continue on next week. So
cool.
Did I make it under 30 minutes there, John?
You did. You're good. You're good. You're safe for now.
I think I got everything I wanted to say out. So
You're safe for now.
Oh, good. I love being safe.
LV, you wrote some other game on here. I don't know anything about it. Why don't you tell us about Simulacra?
Simulacra.
Simulacra. All right.
Or Simulacra? I'm not sure what they were trying to go
Is
for.
it-
Probably
wait.
Simulacra. It seems more accurate.
Does it have 2 U's or 2 A's?
It has 2 U's.
It has 2 U's.
That's how it's okay.
That's how they spelled it. It's not
I know.
That's how
Simulacra.
they sell. Simulacra is a totally different game.
Yeah, I normally
Simulacra is a
see it,
totally
like-
different game. Simulacra is a puzzle game, which is not this.
Oh,
Okay.
So, so by the 2, also technically the title's capitalized, but I didn't note that. But anyways, I guess I'm supposed to yell it, but I'm not going to do that. So yeah, this is the second game, because the first game is just called Simulacra, no 2. And it's actually, it's a FMV adventure horror game. This one just came out like super recently, literally in the month of January. And you're basically looking through this woman's phone to figure out what happened to her. And it's pretty cool. It's really cool.
oh,
Yeah. And yeah, it's like heavy FMV based. So literally you are literally going through like this recreation of like a smartphone where you're going through like different photos, video, etc. And yeah, this woman is dead. So this detective you're working under, who is a character in the first game, actually. I have not played the first game, so I can't really comment on his role in the first one, but I'm assuming they share universes in some capacity. This detective is like literally like shit, he's compromising evidence because he's convinced that this case they're working on is like, they're not doing anything right. He has this like theory in his head that if you look at this woman's phone, I think we will actually find things here that they're not bothering to find. Like he's convinced they're hiding something or there's something going on. And there's probably multiple ways to go about this. There probably is like, whether or not he's right or you're wrong, etc. Because there are multiple outcomes that can happen in this. But yeah, the game really is you're just looking through this woman's phone. You're like going through her social media. You're looking through photos, the video, and you're quick to find out that something was going on like in the final hours of her death. She was either, possibly paranoid about something getting her, or there was, like maybe there was just something going on with her, unfortunately. But also, it's quick to suggest that something paranormal might be going on. It does not seem like it's a typical murder. Like there's definitely some foul play.
oh, that's fun.
And she's like a social media influencer. So this game kind of has like a funny way also of kind of commenting, really, especially today, like kind of like the ramifications of that, which is essentially celebrity culture as well. Like it's like this very meta thing about like, you're looking through this dead person's phone. Like, what is your place in all of this?
I was going to say,
when, like,
that's the part that sounds really scary and creepy, is that, hey, guess what? When you get murdered, some creepy old dude's going to look through your phone because they're going to think you're a woman and you're an influencer. And so, of course, you're on your phone. All these kids are on their phone all the time.
Yeah.
You're always on that phone.
Yeah, it's a very interesting commentary on that whole thing. Yeah, like your character is either like a rookie detective under this guy or like a tabloid reporter. So that's like you got which doesn't actually affect the game at all. It mentions tiny things about like people acknowledging like your career, etc. At some point you stumble upon like a group chat of her friends who are still alive. And at that point, they're like, you can talk with them. I mean, you kind of have to. Like, I haven't figured out any other way where you can progress without talking with them. And it freaks them out. Of course, they think like you're her ghost or something.
No.
It's so fucked up. But like. Yeah, you're talking to them, and they're like, are you a detective, etc. Like it's very interesting. I would say it's very interesting. But yeah, it definitely makes you uncomfortable. Like, like, is this okay to do this? And like, I think the game is intentional in doing that. Like, it's it's really good. At some point they do like, they show like, unfortunately, like also her death scene, etc. And like, yeah, the way she looks does not seem like a natural death. There's like weird scars on her face that does not seem self-imposed, etc. So yeah, like I have not gone that far to game. I have not gotten to the point where like I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know if there's like other things in regards to her. Like, oh no, she actually just had a normal murder, and like some of the other things can be explained. I don't know if like what the supernatural elements are beyond like what I know so far. But yeah, I'll just say up front, it's an interesting game. But yeah, like in light of like everything I'm talking about, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
I was gonna ask, is it like a spooky game? Like,
it is pretty spoopy. It is spoopy, but I think a lot of FMV games. At least the ones I played and I know about, I think they unfortunately kind of have like, I've yet to know like a well-acclaimed one that actually has universal like praise for it. Like I have yet to know one where like there isn't like weird hamminess to it or datedness. So there are moments where like the video, the game, well, at least the version of the game I played, it was like kind of like an early press version of the game. So I don't know if like it's much better in the final product of the game when it released. But my game kind of had like poor optimization issues because it's right. It's so video heavy. It's using like full on like high definition like live video. There are times where like things like the video would artifact and try to be like, oh whoa, something spooky is going on. Like it would try to artifact. The phone would glitch sometimes, but it's it's a little silly. It gets silly quickly. You're like, okay, I know what you're doing.
Like a paranormal activity kind of thing. Where...
yeah. So the wallpaper of the phone is that woman staring at you, and she's just like, it's kind of creepy. Like, and then at some point in the game, like I feel like I forgot what point in the game. Like you make some progress. At some point in the game, her back is turned to you, the wallpaper, and then your phone shuts down. It's just like, okay, all right. It restarts, but it's fine. But it's just like it does like those really cheesy like scare things, and it's like, that's really kind of the most horror element I've seen so far of the game. It's like the phone glitches once in a while, and and noises happen. Besides, really, the most scary thing about this game really is like the content matter itself and what you're dealing with. Though it just goes on to for me to say and like segue into like the little bit I said there about like there's like a lot of these FMV like mystery games, and it involves like women like dying, and it's like it's not great. Like I don't know why. Like we've had a lot of FMV games like come out recently where they all center on some sort of distress with a woman, and it's kind of like uncomfortable. It's kind of weird. It's like what is going on? The only one I think I've ever played thoroughly was like this is like a bit of an older game, but I think immediately of like something like Her Story, where like people like definitely have like very like valid criticisms about that game, and especially in regards to how it treats mental health in that, and like how it uses mental health as kind of like as oh yeah, this is like what's going on, I can probably spoil it, right? Like or it doesn't matter.
It's been a while, yeah.
So Her Story, you're analyzing the footage of this woman, it's like interrogation footage, she's being questioned, etc. And it turns out the reason why you're having kind of these confusing narratives about information is that it's actually technically two different personalities or two women of this one woman. So that's kind of like, you're piecing that together slowly. And it's just a little like, yeah, that's like not great to like kind of convey what's going on in that way, because it's suggesting that that's an accurate representation of like someone who might have like multiple personality disorder or BPD. It's kind of like inferring that like, oh yeah, she's like unhinged, that's why she murdered her husband, stuff like that, and that's like, yeah, inherently problematic. But stuff like that, you're kind of like in this weird objective third person seat analyzing like a woman's life to her death, like in this weird like distant way. And kind of like, and arguably, I don't think the word objectifying is, because you're not trying to do that, but you're still kind of like viewing this person as not a person, but through the object that they are like being channeled through, which is video. So I don't know, like, I'm kind of speaking on something big here, but that's been a noticeable trend with a lot of like, like at least serious leaning mystery FMV games. Like, there's like, oh yeah, I think we need I think that's more of a problem inherently with the trope of mystery and noir. Like, there's like, it's like, the victim is always like a woman, like a young woman, or like something, or like, this idea of like a crazy woman, etc. So I don't know, like, it's nice to see FMV resurfacing as like this new big thing. Well, not really big, but resurfacing as this thing that was kind of like once believed as to be this very dated like means of like conveying visuals in a game. And now it's nice seeing like smaller creators like using this as a tool of like, not only as like, making the process of creating visuals easier, but also like actually elevating what FMVs used to be known for. And hopefully like the subjects are more varied beyond like, all right, like here's another mystery game about a woman dying, and we're gonna,
about a woman dying and mental illness is involved. I've got two
like,
things to say.
Let's see something new. Yeah.
One about the woman thing. I think it's just kind of an extension of like the old-fashioned idea of like women need to be protected, and so when they're killed, it's like a tragedy because like the ways to make a death like tragic in an old-fashioned sense is it's either a woman dies or a child dies or an elderly woman dies, but like or an elderly man dies, but with an elderly person who dies, like they managed to live a long enough life, so like, shrugs because, we don't care about old people or whatever, which is not great. But like when you have a child die, that's obviously very tragic, but it's also like too grim. And so like, I think a lot of people just kind of default to women dying because it's just kind of like a medium between there. And also like if the protagonist is a male, then like, it's just kind of a bunch of whole things like coming together to say like, yeah, patriarchy's still there, so we gotta kill women.
God, and I hate it when women die.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that we can't really get past Night Trap. Is kind of like what I'm thinking about every time we talk about FMVs. Is
that's a great one. That just kind of like went off my That's like the peak of that. Yeah, the example. Yeah.
The thing with mental illness, I think it's like in terms of the reason why mental illness keeps showing up in these sorts of things is because mental illness is something that's grounded in reality, and it is something that is very easy to misconstrue and misunderstand. Yeah. But since it is grounded in reality, it lends like the plot some plausibility. Like if you don't know about like dissociative identity disorder and what it is and how it impacts people's lives, then when a piece of work misrepresents it, you're going to go like, oh yeah, that's absolutely how that would work. That makes sense. That's why this person did this thing. And it's like, no.
It's used unfortunately a lot as an easy scapegoat to justify, like, oh, this is why this person did this bad thing, which is like, no, that's not how it works. It like simplifies what something is, to be a more complex real thing. And it'd have been nice if you had like writers who probably have expertise or like go through that to actually give insight as to how this works, which never happens. Yet to hear about that.
And it's really bad because it always does so much harm and spreads so much misinformation.
It makes it cyclical, and that's why these pieces of art like kind of unfortunately keep utilizing it, because I think like now there's unfortunately this osmosis effect where like, oh okay, this like kind of making it a genre in a way, just the way to describe like it's a trope, but it just carries on. Yeah.
I also to kind of break down full motion video as a stylistic choice. A lot of the people who make games that are all FMV, like just the full thing, not differentiated from Control, which is like a game that uses FMVs as part of the game. The type of people who are making full motion video as their whole games are part director, part game designer. And you're going to find that those types of people see characters as objects. And what I mean by that is that they're going to be making games that focus on characters that can be manipulated and played with. And the easiest way to grab people when you have a camera and you want to manipulate them is basically to have the game centered around characters and characters that interact with each other in different ways. So that's why you get into things that are going to mirror pulp types of serial fiction. So CSI type things, mystery type things, where it's just very easy to have a body that's now dead. And it's very easy to have characters who have to make faces that are like very concerned and disconcerted, like, ooh, I have a serious face on. Oh, I've got a surprised face on. Oh, I'm a being murdered face is on. And like that grabs people's attention. And so I think that if you're trying to be this kind of person that's like the director of an FMV game, you're gonna walk a weird line because you want to have a bunch of close-ups on people's faces, and I don't see anyone trying to break that trend. I hope they do, but also at the same time, there's a lot of games that are like Until Dawn that does a great job at having an ensemble cast of characters that varies up who is around at any time. That gives that game a lot of life and makes it a very interesting game to play through. Because you don't just look at the same person, like the same detective's disgruntled face, looking over another dead woman's body over and over. But if I were to point at anything that was like, why is this a trend? I think it is a part of the genre and what the genre does best and what we've done best to explore with full metal video. What? Full motion video as an idea.
Full metal video. No, that's a great insightful response. I think also too that is also I think what exacerbates the kind of issue where they might be also amplifying tropes and stereotypes, right? And that's I think also where it does relate to the idea of like just like constantly a woman, the trope of a damsel in distress or like a woman victim or like mental illness. So, like they're narrowing down these like certain archetypes, so it's easier to tell a story.
Exactly.
With like kind of the limited resources they have. And this is especially evident where like a lot of these games I'm talking about like kind of have very small teams or are literally made by like two people, right? Like a director and then like, like someone else. And yeah, like hopefully that's just something like, moving forward, like it's just something I hope to see like, a little differentiated, right? Like let's not keep.
Yep.
It's possible to make something pulpy where it doesn't perpetuate things that I feel like have like are kind of dated now and like what we would consider to be pulpy, right? Like It's possible to make something that's still like hammy, but in a way that's I think accessible to everyone.
All right, that was a good talk. I am gonna say though, all this talk about the bad ways of presenting mental illness, I'm gonna mention something really quick. So, Ninja Theory, who is owned by Microsoft now, and is making that sequel to Hellblade for the Xbox Series X, just announced a new game that they are also working on, that they are currently calling Project Mara. And the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because they are saying that it is going to be a quote-unquote grounded representation of true mental horror.
So, I don't trust this.
I don't either. And you know what? I don't think anyone should, because honestly, like, look, what they did with Hellblade, say what you will, they initially came at that game with oh boy, mental illness is scary, and then they, got, experts and, people actually involved with it, and you can talk about how you think they pulled it off, but now they're making a sequel to Hellblade, and also they're making a completely separate game that is also about, like, scary mental illness. Like, at this point, I don't think it can be argued that they are being completely disrespectful and irresponsible with presentations of mental illness, and I think it's disgusting. I think that they need to fucking stop it, and of course they're not going to, and of course they're just going to get a bunch of awards because they have good graphics, and it's going to be a big bombastic story, and it's going to be, oh man, it's going to be a big game on the Xbox Series X, like,
and it's going to be so deep with how it conveys mental illness, and it's going to be very nuanced and all-encompassing, and it's going to, like, honestly pave the way for more mental illness games in the future.
So on the Video Game Choo Choo site, Rose wrote about Hellblade 2 as an idea and what that would mean. And it just makes it sound like they're just cashing in on this. The concept itself that a game would look at mental illness, they're like intentionally cashing in on it. And it feels really gross.
It's super gross.
I don't know how people could trust that.
Like I said, like with Hellblade 1, it was like, okay, you know what? Like, you did it. You did what you did. All right. But now, like, all of their games are about mental illness, except for, like, that fucking... that, like, shitty-looking Battle Royale game they're making or whatever. But you know what? At this point, I'm, like... Once that game comes out, we're gonna find out that it's gonna be about, like, fucking, like, brain synapses, like, reacting to depression or something. Like, that's what's gonna end up happening, or, like, they're gonna be like, oh, it's the battle over a schizophrenic person's brain, or something like that. We're gonna find out about that when that game comes out.
I feel like when it comes to storytelling in video games about mental illness, that is definitely something that's gonna be better handled by the indie scene, by creators who have those mental illnesses.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's impossible to talk about mental illness.
I don't think it's impossible, but I think like the best case scenario for like a big company doing it is if like there is like a side character who has the mental illness and they're just kind of like there, but it's not like the central core focus of the entire work.
And I would also hope that people who are working on that character or that game have experience with it. Like, it's not just
like either first-hand experience or like have done like significant research into it.
Yeah. So I am very opposed to this. I think that it's complete dog shit that they're just gonna get away with it, and yeah, I wish they would stop. I wish they would think about the kind of people that are going to be affected by this, and they would stop, because, you know, like fucking Xbox gamer bros who are just going to worry about the graphics aren't going to be like, wow, this is a real amazing insight into mental illness. They're going to sit there and be like, these triggered snowflakes are so upset about, you know, this is the real shit, when it's like, no, it's not. And I mean, like, you know, obviously, I don't want to bring too much attention to this, but yeah, like, Rose wrote that article, and she immediately got a bunch of shit for it. Like, this is the kind of people that, I nobody from Ninja Theory is going to listen to this, but, like, just to pretend that they would, like, these are the kind of people that you're instigating by making games like this, by not actually, like, thinking about the ramifications of what you're doing, that you're making mental illness out to be this, like, scary thing that you need to run away from, and that can't be treated, that can't be helped, that can't be had by people that, you know, are normal people, or, I mean, that people with mental illness are, you know, like, people like you and me. Like, there are so many different kinds of people that have mental illness, and it shouldn't just be portrayed as this, like, oh man, there's scary people gonna get you. Like, no, they're people. Like, treat them like people. It's not right.
Is there a word for like holier than thou, but for just being neurotypical? And is Ninja Theory trying to like be the most neurotypical game studio? Like, I'm almost feeling like I need a word like that. Like, oh, look at you.
Yeah, like
it's Ninja Theory. That's what it is. It's being Ninja Theory.
Hey, look. Ninja Theory, NT, neurotypical. There you go.
We figured it out.
When I first read how it's framed, and I've seen a little bit of the teaser that they put, the words mental terror like immediately harkened to me, like thinking like, wow, you know, they're trying to make a genre out of this. Like, they're trying to, like, in a way, like, make it a spectacle. Like, I'm like that word. Those are the sort of words I would hear when an amusement park advertises a new ride, like it's the sort of things I hear when people describe about, something like a Marvel movie, it's trying to make it out to be a spectacle, as if it's like now like this new element that it's like, how are you going to thrill players now? We're going to use like we're going to use the next mental illness, like the next mental illness as we're looking through the psychiatry, like associations, like directory, to like wrap our game around, it's like, it's like straight, it's like what? Like, and also I do not, so the thing about it is like, talking about Hellblade, I've not played it, but knowing people who do like it, I don't think like that aspect of the game is what people liked about the game. I think people sincerely liked the game for like the folklore, for like some like just how it played. I mean, and it's kind of like at least that's what I think,
Yeah,
so I think
I've definitely heard people that have said that they thought that it did a good job, and like honestly, I will say part of that is that no matter what, you're not gonna have an all-encompassing expression of mental illness, like. They brought on people that have psychosis and and did work with them, and there's it's not going to be the same experience for everyone. So someone might say, "Oh, this was a really good representation of it," and then someone else will go, "This isn't how it is for me," and I think it's kind of offensive. That is the case for something like that, and I think that is something to keep in mind. But at the same time, I just feel like the fact that they're just treading on this over and over again is what's really gross about it. Like, yeah, we have to keep making these games about mentally ill people because that's what people I don't know. It's just Hellblade itself. I can take I can give or take, but the fact that they're making a sequel to that game. Just making that game a franchise is gross, and then their other game being, another mental illness scare fest. That's where it crosses a line for me. Personally, that's where it feels fucking gross.
I can't.
That's what I mean. I don't think those aspects of that game is what made that game successful. It's like everything else. And as you were joking, the pretty graphics. So it's interesting that they, that's where the deep insensitivity and their intentions is definitely malicious in terms of this is what we're going to decide to focus on. We're going to focus on this character because of her plight and how we depicted it in the first game, and we're going to capitalize on that, as opposed to exploring other things that made this game successful, the world, the Norse mythology, etc., etc. So that's especially more transparent in their decision to basically make a similar, well, not make it similar, but use that similar premise, her mental, her psychosis is now going to be translated in a different game with a different character.
No.
That's that's definitely bad.
I'm getting this horrible mental image of the anime glasses guy with the butterfly in his hand, except he's holding the DSM-5 and just asking, is this a game mechanic? And that's Ninja Theory.
Pretty much.
Oh.
No, it's absolutely that. And again, mental illness can be scary. It is something that people who have mental illnesses are going through that shit every day, and it can be horrifying for them, but it's not something that
needs to be a spectacle.
It's not a piece of entertainment.
Exactly. It's not something that's oh man, this crazy person's coming after me. No, they're
now again, roller coaster ride. Now in 4D, smell-o-vision. It's
exactly,
what?
Exactly.
What are those? What does mental terror mean? That's just what it sounds like to me. It immediately sounds like a weird, dated way of bringing people into a thrill ride.
Right.
I want to just I've had my game designer hat on all day, I guess. I do want to bring this in another direction, though, because video games are pretty dang good at exploring systems of thought and systems of thinking, and putting that in a way that's digestible, where a lot of other media doesn't have as easy of a time showing and putting people into a system that works against them, and being able to put on its face hey, this system is not serving me in the way that I feel like it's supposed to, which is pretty accurate to what it feels like when you aren't neurotypical. Hey, this system isn't serving me like it's serving everyone else, and there is a lot of like worthwhile effort that should be done and can be done in games. But yeah, the commercializing aspect of having this Senua or Hellblade 2 is the like showrunner for the new Xbox coming out, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
Like they're selling consoles
At least one of them.
with that game. There's definitely a line there that goes way too far. But I don't want to just completely throw out the idea that exploring like what it means to see the world in different ways, but also what it means to like navigate what other people see as like super easy, but isn't for you. That's worthwhile. There's definitely worthwhile stuff, and people have made worthwhile things in that. Depression Quest is still a game that like really helpfully identifies a very common thing in people's lives.
I just don't trust a big company to tackle that issue, is the thing.
That is a big part of it.
Again, we were talking about like Disco Elysium. I think does a great job in like illustrating someone's thought process, especially going through like withdrawal or like addiction specifically. I wouldn't say mental illness per se, but like the idea of like someone like is potentially like has these urges to hurt themselves in some capacity, but also like the game showing you that they're not making fun of this, they're just showing you how it is, and like reading the writer's thoughts about like how to properly convey that in a way that seems very personal to him as well. I think they personally did a good job of it, at least from what, like my one playthrough of the game so far, right? Because it's such a long game, but it's a good game. And like, I think it did a good job of like stressing like kind of like clear that no matter what you do, this is like a bad thing. We're not trying to say like, oh yeah, if you like get hopped up on drugs, etc., you're going to benefit a lot. Like, no, there are deep consequences for that, and here's the real facts about it. Also, that game did not advertise that, does not market itself as like that's a big aspect of the game. Like, no, it was like a huge surprise. Like when like you start going into it, and it's like, huh, okay. Like I'm kind of like having these mental thought processes, and that's interesting. This is like a very unique way of like depicting this person going through these different like ideas in their head and like what's potentially harmful and bad for them. And like it made it clear, yeah, this is like not a good thing, and this is something you kind of have to learn to overcome. And like it's interesting how the game, it didn't inhibit you per se, but the game made it interesting, like clear that like this could be a struggle. This is like an uphill battle.
Oh yeah, can we talk about Disco?
This is not fun.
Can we talk a little bit about Disco just for a second? Because when we're talking about games that use mechanics to explore how brains can work. Disco Elysium, the main character you play as, does a great job in two very little ways of showing off a way of thinking that they don't say like, hey, this is the normal way or the abnormal way. This is not like demonized or identified as like weird. It's just, this is how this person like processes literal thought. And that's that you can like attach a thought to yourself and just stew on it for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And after that, you get an idea. you develop something of like an idea out of that. And I'm like, wow, that is really what it feels like to just start spiraling on one topic for 6 hours. It was just a little thing that kind of was like, yeah, I have absolutely felt like that before. It was very relatable. The other tiny mechanic they do is that, I mean, it's the main mechanic, but a whole bunch of like gods or something are constantly like interrupting you with new thoughts. That idea of just having your thoughts disrupted by like one little tiny thing where someone just is like, hey, have you thought about it this way? And I'm like, oh, that's the only thing I'm going to think about for like the next 6 hours. Thanks. I really love how that game just gives me a nice like way to understand how thoughts get processed in real time and in something akin to real time.
Yeah, and in a way that's very non-judgmental, and like if you are doing something wrong, it makes it apparent when those consequences happen. Like it gives you a lot of these options that clearly veer from and anyone would know like what the developer's stance on things are, but like it's made very clear on like if something is bad, you will find out when you do that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's very non-judgmental, but also still very objective, I feel like, when it comes to presenting like how this character, not necessarily morally great, but a character that you are making that character, and like it feels good in that way. You actually are wrapping like wrapping around this character and like conveying them what their moral thought process is through you.
Okay. I think we should move on to questions. I know that Solon, I know you had some stuff you wanted to talk about, but I don't want this to go on too long, if that's okay.
Well, counter thought.
Okay.
What if I speedrun it?
All right, you got a minute. Go.
Yeah, I'll give you that chance. Go right ahead.
1 minute.
All right.
So-
do you want me to actually time this, or
Go for it.
All right, hang on. Okay, where's my clock? Okay.
I've got my resources ready. I'm ready.
All right, Solon, I'll count you down.
Squat.
3, 2, 1, go.
Speedruns have been whack lately. The Super Mario Brothers any percent run has been broken, which was thought to be impossible, but apparently is not. On top, that was this week. The last 3 months we've been dealing with since GDQ happened. Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time has been absolutely dismantled by a new technique known as arbitrary code execution, where they can just kind of like fill that game with whatever arbitrary code they want to execute now. And so the any percent run has been absolutely eviscerated. It's like dropped 3 minutes and now is only down to like 13 minutes. And the 100% run every single day has been dropping by hours.
Jesus.
By hours. And that's the news in speedrunning. No game
Holy
is safe.
shit.
If you think your game is safe, it isn't. Lock your doors, friends. And time.
All right, you did it 55 seconds.
Wow. Impressive.
Hey,
Very
You know
nice.
what? For that,
Yeah.
I just want to bring up, as a bonus, as an exhibition, if you will, after the speedrun.
When you're holding the flag, yeah.
Can I read...
Yeah,
Because
right.
ZFG on YouTube has been breaking his own 100% speed run of Ocarina of Time by hours at a time. It was at 4 hours, and then like a month and a half ago it was like 2, and now it's down to 1 hour and 7 minutes of just 100% and getting every single item in Ocarina of Time because of arbitrary code execution. And the descriptions of every one of these videos is terrifying. Just to read this, he says, using ACE, we can run a function that gives the title screen almost all of the items in the game and have that on your normal file. This has a lot of stuff, but not everything. It's notably missing 6 hearts, 100 gold skulltulas, the spiritual stones, double magic, double defense, Bigoron sword, and all upgradable items are just at their lowest upgrades. The idea for getting the most of the rest of the items is to use SRM to do the pot chest glitch in Goron City, where we can get almost any item from an invisible pot. The problem is, this doesn't work if you have the fire medallion, because it populates Goron City with the Gorons, and also you need Darunia's door to be opened, which you can't open if you have the Goron tunic, which this file does have. So an important part of this route is deleting the fire emblem and the Goron tunic in order to do pot chest, then getting them back later, as well as the light medallion, which is also deleted with the fire medallion.
I play Pot of Chest, which allows me to draw any items.
Like, these descriptions,
Speedrunners are different.
they're ludicrous. And I just...
Speedrunners are a different species of human.
It's not just like speed running as... It's gorgeous in its own way how, like, it becomes an art in and of
it is
itself.
it's respectable, though. Yeah.
They are new
can't
types,
do
but
that.
spelled like NU type, not NEW type.
Yeah.
Pot, chest, glitch. Invisible pot,
God.
infinite items. So I bring this up just because they're using a bunch of glitches that not only come from this game, but actually come from the other Zelda games, like the later games, are how they learned how to do arbitrary code execution in Ocarina of Time, because they thought it was just a... you could only do it with... what's it called? Tool-assisted speedruns. You can only do it with a tool that does the game for you. That ended up not being the case, which exploded everything. And so now every, like, Ocarina of Time, like, version is like, do we need to rethink how we actually do this? Or are we just going to ban this outright? And it just comes down to, you know, what is a speedrun? So it's fun times out there. It is a beautiful moment to be in speedrunning right now because nothing is safe.
All right. Well, Solon, I am going to dock you some points because you did absolutely talk longer than a minute about that. So I'll that's okay though. I think we'll let that slide.
That's okay. It's still my PB.
All right, that's good. Let's move on to questions then. If you want to send in questions, go to videogamechoochoo.tumblr.com/ask. Our buddy Michael, who used to be on this website, sent in a question. This is another timed segment, I guess. He says, in 90 seconds, please tell me the synopsis for either The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings. Be as specific as possible, include names as you remember them, and attempt to pronounce everything. Thanks. So, I could absolutely do this.
One of those is easier than the other.
I could absolutely do either of those.
Hobbit or Loader?
I mean, I could do either of them. so I'm gonna reveal something to you all. I'm not like a huge Lord of the Rings geek, but I know Lord of the Rings. So I probably couldn't tell you all the names of all the characters, but like I could run down the plots.
All right, shoes on the other foot then. You've got 90 seconds.
All right,
Solon, are you gonna time this?
Yep.
All right, just. Okay.
Your time starts...
Which one am I doing?
That's up to you, man.
I'll do Lord of the Rings.
Ooh.
Okay. All right.
And
just let me know. I'm ready.
Go.
All right, so it starts off with Frodo, and he is a hobbit in the Shire, and his, uncle or whatever, Bilbo, has the ring, and they end up having to take that ring to the Mount Doom to dump it in because Sauron is this big evil villain who wants to take over the entire thing of Middle-earth. So they go on a big quest. It's Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, Legolas, Gimli, Gandalf, Aragorn, and Boromir.
Nice.
That is the Fellowship of the Ring. They go off. So there's the Nazguls. They chase after them. The Ring Wraiths. They go to where the elves are. There's the elves. There's the Mines of Moria. That's where the orcs attack them. And there's all that cool scene. And then Gandalf is fighting the Balrog, and he falls off. He goes, "Fly, you fools!" and he dies. And then nothing else really happens in the first movie. Okay, then there's the second movie. They have the big battle at the Helm's Deep. Whatever happens about that, nothing really that important happens. They meet Gollum. They go off. He's also got Smeagol. He's got the two sides, whatever. And then third movie, they go fight the big final battle. They get into the fires of Mount Doom. Gollum falls in. He's like, "Ah, my precious," and he dies. Sam and Frodo go off onto a boat, and they live happily ever after. There's a lot of other stuff that happens. I just don't have the time
They throw the ring in.
I said that.
Okay, go on.
I just don't have the time.
And time.
Yeah, I did my best.
I did my best, as the last part
breathe?
of that is my favorite part.
when they go off the boat and they're gay together, and then just
they do.
Yeah,
Yes.
that just happens.
I did.
It just happens.
Gandalf comes back. He's Gandalf the
Sam
White.
got married, and he looks at Frodo in the way he does.
Yeah, they look at each other. That whole movie,
A lot, very longingly.
Yeah.
They hold each other, and I appreciate that. It's
I do
it's very
too.
loving.
I do too.
Very nice.
Next question.
All
That was
right,
perfect.
I went too detailed about the first movie. All right, Anonymous asks, was Spyro ever actually a good series? Because your recent videos are making me question that.
Whoa!
No. John?
I'd say
sorry,
yes.
what?
I'd say yes.
I missed the question, sorry.
Was Spyro ever an actually good series? Because the recent Spyro Let's Play videos are making the question asker question that.
Oh.
John's most recent episode involves him getting a fight pad out, or a fight stick out to do
Fight stick, yes.
to do Treetops, the hardest level in Spyro. And it went pretty dang well for you, huh?
It went better than I expected it to go.
I almost feel like maybe you should play that whole thing on a stick, because...
Well, it's a little too late for that. But, I mean, I really love Spyro the Dragon. I enjoy the second one as well. I haven't played too much of the third one, which I know is crazy, but the first one is one of my favorite games of all time. And I think they're very good games. I just also think they have a lot of frustrating aspects to them. But I mean, a lot of my favorite games have parts that I hate. Like, I love the No More Heroes games, but like, No More Heroes 1 has all the like stupid little like mini-game jobs that take too long, and then if you fail in doing one of the side quests for the assassinations, you have to like go all the way back to get the job, and all the way back to try it again. And then No More Heroes 2 has like the Shinobu sections with all the really bad platforming. So like, my favorite games have shitty stuff.
Yeah.
It's okay, you know, not everything's a winner.
I find
Spyro has the flying levels.
Yep,
I'm sorry.
it sure does. I find Spyro to be one of the most relaxing games to 100%.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it's really good for. Just if you're going to take an afternoon and you're just going to play the chillest game, if you have like a bad cold or something, you can't really get out of bed, like Spyro's so good for that.
I guess my question for the rest of you is, what is, pick a favorite game and say something that you hate about it.
I'm literally playing Kakarot, and the flying is not good. Like, the speed of flying, yes.
Final Fantasy XIV, Archer upgrades to Bard instead of Ranger.
Ooh.
What? That doesn't make sense. Why? What is the reason?
I guess the reason is because like Bard is an iconic job and they had to put it in, and then like bows have strings, harps have
If
strings.
you can play a bow, you
instruments
can
have
play
strings.
a harp.
Just add another string on the bow. It's a harp, sure.
So
Wow. It couldn't have been standalone? That's weird. That's very weird. It was always like that too.
It works really well.
Okay.
It makes a lot of sense in lore. Like they do a good job of explaining. I started as an archer in that game on my very first character, and when I found out it switches to Bard, I'm like, ugh. So I switched over.
I feel like if they want that, I feel like the Bard would be first before the Archer. I don't know. Something about like, oh yeah, this traveling person, and now they realize, oh shoot, there's all these things I have to defend against. Now I actually have to train myself to be more combat efficient. I don't know. I feel like that makes more sense if they're trying to reach with that logic.
Yeah. So that's the thing that I hate about 14.
Okay.
Hey, I'm playing AI, the Somnium Files, and the main character sure talks a lot about titties.
Yes, okay. I have brought up this game during our Game of the Year deliberations, and Date is a terrible person. Yet you unfortunately have to play him. So.
And the weird counter to that, which this is kind of a cute, it's kind of an adult game. I actually compare it to the Venture Brothers, in that it's an adult game that is actually really good at bridging between drama and comedy. And it shifts
Definitely
between
does.
those tones in a lot of great ways. The way that this game does it is that Date says something really horny in his head, and you have to just sit there and listen to it. Meanwhile, every woman in the game is constantly bombarding him with how much of an idiot he is all the time.
Yep, they do.
And so there's a little give and there's a little take. Could you go without the take?
Yeah.
But otherwise, AI the Somnium Files has been incredible.
It's also like he's not safe doing that in his head because his eyeball can hear what he says.
That's a real thing in that game, and it's really great. Every single woman in that game doms this himbo main character who can do nothing right.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate. Yeah.
There's a lot of give actually, as well as this.
Look, that's the
take.
price he pays. So
And he was safe from the worst character Game of the Year category. He missed on through. He did not survive to the last
No.
counts of that. So
We can't all aspire to be.
it was everyone else.
We can't all aspire to be Delgo and Cleo Dragalia Lost from WWE 2K20.
Date's still on thin fucking ice.
Oh
though.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean he was on the nominee list, so that's already
Yep.
an accomplishment.
Anonymous asks, whatever happened to Tokyo Mirage Sessions? It was supposed to be this huge crossover, but it seems to have left no cultural footprint in its wake.
Disagree. There's one big cultural footprint it left, although through no fault. it didn't want to leave that cultural footprint.
So what are you talking
I'm
about here?
referencing the infamous they removed her vagina bones thing because
That
when
is
Tokyo
true.
Mirage Sessions was
that's
localized,
imprint. Yeah.
they censored like the outfits and stuff,
Like
and
cleavage,
they edited over
yeah,
some
covered.
of the cutscenes, and some
Infamous gamer. I don't know her name.
infamous gamer bastard was like they deleted her, they removed her vagina bones, not understanding what the.
Like he's never seen a hip in his life. Like they're talking about the hip, and
Yeah,
okay,
and it's like
Yeah. Impact. It's impact.
I guess what this person is saying that like this was supposed to be like a big like this was Fire Emblem crossing over with Shin Megami Tensei, and
yeah,
I mean
there's the idea that it should have been bigger than it was, but I think part of that's because it also leaned more into like the, I guess you want to call it like idol subculture, because like the
Yeah,
characters like perform on stage. So
yeah. So I think my the two things that I think killed it is one, it was a Wii U game.
yep.
So there you go. That's like multiple nails in its coffin. And then two, there was the other outrage besides the vagina bones outrage was that they very much were saying that this was going to be a Shin Megami Tensei game. They said this is like when people say Shin Megami Tensei, they expect something a bit more like hardcore gamer shit with like, you know, like what you would expect from an SMT game. But
Serious.
but that game is very much a crossover between Fire Emblem and Persona. Like that game is Persona 4.5. And you know, if you have that expectation, it is a pretty solid game. And I do think like, you know, I don't think they should be charging $60 for it on the Switch, but from what I have played of that game on the Wii U, I do think it's worth checking out if you are a fan of Persona. But it's not an SMT game, like, at all. And I mean, it's not a Fire Emblem game either. It is just a Persona game. Like, that is a Persona-ass game. So
it's honestly like a Persona light game, because there's not even like you do unlock multiple characters, but it's not
you don't get
as
different
involved as like Persona 4
you don't get
or
other
5,
Personas.
I've got a question. Is this game extremely
Yes.
popular in Japan? Tokyo Mirage Session?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I'm wondering, the way you all are talking about it, it sounds almost like it's very insulating to very Japanese culture in a way that might just not have translated very well to the West.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of weeaboos in America.
Oh, of course.
Like,
Oh, plenty
like,
enough
if you're
to
a-
keep a
if
Wii U
you're
game
a-
going.
What's the word? If you're like even like a milk toast anime fan, you would enjoy this game. I feel
Okay.
like
yeah.
so.
But I think, you know, like, as you were talking about, like, the expectations of this game, like, and the actual game being much different than what people were led to believe it was, I think also besides, you know, like, oh, yeah, we're saying now, like, oh, this can appeal to, like, those niche interests, why isn't it more successful? I mean, maybe because the game's just, like, has such that lukewarm response that, you know, like, people who would be into that stuff know that there are other franchises they can just play instead. If they wanted a Fire Emblem game, they would play a Fire Emblem. If they wanted a Persona game, Idolmaster is a long-running game series. They would play that instead,
game,
you know?
That game also came out, like, around the time Persona 5 came out. So,
Yeah.
people had plenty of options for things that they could play otherwise. Like it was not an SMT game, so people didn't want to play that. I'm pretty sure there was a Fire Emblem game that came out around then. I think that was like around when Fates came out. So if people wanted a
Was
Fire
either
Emblem
Fates
game,
or
Either Fates or
Shadows
Echoes of the
Lynch.
Elusive Age.
yeah, like they had a Fire Emblem game, they had a Persona game, like they were fine. And again, like this game is worth playing. I absolutely think it's a good game. But it came out at a really bad time. It was on a pretty much dead console, and it was not what people wanted it to be. So it was just a lot of things that did not add up, and and then I mean, also like I like the Switch wasn't announced then, but like this was absolutely like the number one game that when the Switch got announced and they were like, oh, we're going to start porting stuff from the Wii U, like everyone was just like, okay, port Tokyo Mirage Sessions because then I'll buy it on there. Like that happened so much. And I mean, I don't know if people are buying it now. I mean, there's a good chance they're probably not because they're probably like, oh, wait, they're charging $60 for this. What the fuck? And I don't blame them. So
not to stick too long on this, but I do want to point out that like just because it wasn't like this huge big thing doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad outcome, because I also agree, like it's a good game, it's solid, but like if it had been really successful, then we would absolutely be getting like more crossover, like TMS Fire Emblem stuff, like that would be like, it would become its own thing, kind of like how Persona became its own thing off of SMT. So like I don't feel like it not being like the huge cult hit that people thought it was going to be was like a bad outcome.
Yeah.
But
all right,
I do think more people should play it because it's a really fun game.
Yeah. Okay. Harlequin Wheels asks, it's 2050, and you've been appointed as a professor in a university video games department, based on playing the games, not game dev, because that's the thing already. What genre of game would you teach a course on, and what does the final exam look like?
Ooh! I love this question.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, this question.
Okay.
This is Solon's question.
Hello.
All right, Solon,
it's
go ahead.
2011, and I am in a classroom where the classroom's title is BioShock as Practicum, which is a very funny title. But also Practicum is the word for when you do an entire semester focusing on one game, and the one game we played was BioShock. So let me tell you the ins and outs of why this is, and it still is probably one of the most perfect games that you can make as a practicum course. BioShock, it was in 2011 accessible on virtually every console, so it was easy for students to access. It was a game with adjustable difficulty so that people could play through it, and how we worked it into our curriculum was that every week was one level. The goal was that you did a close reading of each level of BioShock. And at the end, the final exam was more or less just like an essay on a specific part of BioShock. Very normal thing. You've seen every single game critic ever do their essay on BioShock. But it makes for a great course. It really, really does. It's, when you think about it, like, every single part was there because it was a game that was accessible. The only hard part that you had to get over was that it is a first-person shooter, which in itself is not very accessible in the public education kind of spectrum. It's not something where it is something that requires a lot of timing, a lot of precise movement. So there are definitely students who feel like they get left behind because they're not good at playing that kind of game, or they haven't engaged with video games or first-person shooters in any way before. That's the only big barrier, and that's a barrier that I'm trying to think of what a good game would be that would break even that and still work in every other way to give you something. Also, BioShock is a suitably dense game. It's not the most dense. It's not super shallow. It's trying to say something. So it was a really great substrate to do a close reading, which is just normal ass humanities work that everyone should do at some point. Do a close reading of media. It's really, really good for you.
So you're saying you would want to have a singular game one?
Yes, that is completely normal in the humanities, is that you can have your class be one game.
What game would yours be?
Oh. Come back to me.
Want us to...
Come back to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's go back to you. Spencer, how about you? It can be a genre or, a game. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Genre would definitely be, like, I know I am one of the two MMO heads here on Video Game Choo Choo. But it would definitely be stealth games, because I think there's a lot to explore there with, like, the relationship between players and enemies that you don't want to engage with, despite the fact that literally every other genre of game wants you to interact with enemies in some capacity. And the whole point of stealth games is to not do that. So I would definitely teach a course on stealth games. The final exam would be because like there's a lot of different kinds of stealth games. Like there's first-person stealth games like Dishonored. There's third-person stealth games like Assassin's Creed. There's top-down stealth games like Monaco. That's a good one. My final exam would be like, you need to basically try your best. You don't have to succeed. You have to try your best at doing a 100% stealth run of a stealth game of your choice. You'd have to submit it to me so that I know you're actually playing a stealth game and not just like, oh, I'm going to do a stealth run of like Kingdom Hearts 2, which doesn't have stealth in it. And it's like, come on. But, and then what you have to do is you have to write an essay on your experience about you trying to 100% stealth. Like the trials and tribulations, the frustrations, the patterns you developed, the techniques and strategies you incorporated, what you were feeling on the journey and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of avenues there for introspection.
Okay. LV, you got one?
Would be probably like turn-based strategy games, kind of like games like Civilization and XCOM.
Oh, snap.
Because I feel like, yeah, there's like actually, because those have like, I think like a resource toward, that probably should be talking about education too, because it's just teaching people how to micromanage, right? And like how to be, like critical thinking skills in a way. In terms of a final though, I don't know. Like I'm just like thinking about it now. I mean, Fire Emblem can probably kind of fit in here, right? More so classic Fire Emblem, and they're kind of heading back to that direction. I'm trying to think of a final though, let's see. I don't know, because it's a little. Also, those games last for years, so like I can imagine a final for some sort. Like if one were to literally play a game for a final, that poor child would be stuck in a computer room like all day.
Yeah,
I think
playing a game for a final is very tough.
I think given the nature of how invested you have to be into like a strategy, like a turn-based strategy game like XCOM or Civilization,
survive a couple of rounds.
I think you'd be fine with assigning a final that was like open-ended, like you have to explore something about this genre and you have to like zoom in on it without having to like require a specific task to be done. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of them are history based, and it's just easy to be like, well,
you want to just give a history final?
Yeah, right. Or like alternate history in some capacity.
But Professor, I played XCOM. There's no history in that one.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln and Julius Caesar are contemporary. So,
I played XCOM and I put 2B in it. Does that count?
God. Oh, yes, it does.
Oh, yes.
You automatically pass the final if you use the hilarious mod that makes me laugh.
Oh my God.
It.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
You, John, do you have an idea?
So, mine would be... I guess... So, if I'm going to do something that I'm, like, absolutely invested in, like, I guess my favorite genre that I could totally teach a class on, it would have to be murder mystery visual novels.
Oh, yeah.
I could absolutely teach a class on, like, Ace Attorney and Danganronpa and, even, AI even. Like, there's so many things that I could talk about. I mean, it would give me an excuse to finally play the Zero Escape games. I mean, which I'm going to now because, after I've loved AI, I feel like I need to play those games.
I just had the worst thought of being a teacher of a class who gave the class like the nonary games or like 999 just by itself, and just trying to administrate all of these people going down every different path in this game.
Oh god,
horrifying.
Yeah, maybe I wouldn't give that one out.
Keep it linear, yeah.
What would what would the final be?
I think my final. See, I mean, I want to be reasonable. I wouldn't want to give my students something too crazy, but let's just say in this fantasy world that my students would have absolutely zero other obligations besides my class. I would want
it's a 15 credit class. Yeah,
it is a 15 credit class that and also and also in this world, there are no student loans and they are just they can just live and
It's 2050, so
Yeah.
we have all that.
we're good. Socialism happens.
This hits the skills requirement that's in the degree, and it also hits the close playing and humanities parts of the degree. It hits, you're
multi-department.
We're going to suggest they like write a chapter of a game. For
Yes,
you to
I was
play.
gonna say they have to use like REMP or whatever, and they have to make a chapter of their own game. Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh, so yeah, this is going to be also some like independent study credit and yep. No, we can
Practical skills.
I actually had a forensics class in high school, and that was really nice. I was gonna be the twisted person and being like, you gotta solve so literally our final project was like we were in groups and we had to make cases, scenes. So the assignment was solving another group's scene. And then they had to figure out yours. So you were graded based on like how much your stuff made sense in terms of like rational conclusions.
Yes.
So it was basically like a whole thing about like, approaching, so the whole thing was about, the scientific method of like approaching things rationally and making sure things connect. So it was cool. But it was literally fun where like corners of like the school hallway would have like a balloon man with red paint splatter.
Oh my
it was just really
God.
funny. It was just like things like that. And it was like fake crime scene. It's just really fun. Like I would have been a twisted person. Like, if I were to teach this genre, I would have been, like, treating it like a forensics class. I don't know. Like, that's just something I would have thought.
That's really
solve
cool,
John
I like
Lachonsky's murder.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it would have been your murder, though. Like,
Yeah.
and you would trap the kids in a room, I guess.
Yep.
We have to make our own murders and then have John Machonsky solve them.
Oh, my God. All of them at once.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Solon,
All
do
right.
you have an idea?
Yeah, what's your game?
I've got an idea. I also am realizing that in the science classroom right now that I just left like a couple hours ago, there is a body in there. There was a body in there because we are doing a forensics murder mystery tomorrow. So middle school's going great right now, by the way. Just wanted to point that out.
When you say body, do you mean like a plastic body or like a cadaver?
It's a plastic body, but we did have to tell the
Okay.
janitor to not touch anything in that room. Maintenance needs to stay out of that room right now because it looks weird.
Oh.
All right, so here's the class. We're going to do Control as practicum. I think that solves my problem of a first-person game being kind of hard to manipulate because the camera is so close to you and moves around a lot. I think that externalizing that body into a third-person game like Control helps solve that problem. Control is also very... it's an easier game in a lot of ways. I would have to hedge parts of that because there's parts of that game that are very, very hard. But each section of the game could be 1 week of the 10-week course. Each chapter kind of has a lot to go over, and there's a lot of thematic stuff that you can dive into in that game. I'm assuming in 2050 that it's going to be on every console and it's going to be remade for like the third time. So Control remaster is going to be great in 2050. And the final exam is the evergreen perfect final exam that you should always do in every one of your video game classes. And that is, let's play one level of the game. This is a final exam that I do a lot. I've tried to push it in a bunch of video game classes, as many as I can, because it teaches students basic film editing, capturing stuff. It gets them to play. It gets them to research. They have to screw up by making a bad take and losing all of their data and also mumbling into a microphone. But then they do it again the second time and it turns out way better. It's a great final exam, and it actually manages to work if you have like 1 week or 2 weeks to do it, as long as the students know what they're getting into and are prepared for. Like having access to a computer, having access to OBS, if you as the professor can proctor access to capture cards or anything that could be of use, that's great. But it is always my final exam go-to in game studies types classes is make a Let's Play.
That's really cool, yeah, because, like you said, it just teaches multiple aspects of, like,
Sure.
there's multiple things going on there, yeah.
Yep. So whatever was their
This
favorite
was a great
level,
question.
whatever their favorite level was in that entire semester or in that quarter, go Let's Play that and tell us why it's your favorite.
This was a great question.
Yeah. Good question, Wheels. Thank you so much.
This is a little weird. This is a little weird to say so, but just thank you. I know, like, to any teacher listening to this, thank you. You're doing a lot, and it's like that's well appreciated. And I don't think at least American society doesn't appreciate it enough. And like, hopefully that will change by 2050 when we're all there and probably being horrible and teaching these classes.
It will have changed. It will have already changed.
Hey, Terry, Ed, Mark, y'all, you know who you are. Thank you. Those are my game studies professors. They're fucking incredible.
Viewers like you, the reading rainbow sound effect. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Just two more. Anonymous asks, this is a little weird one for Video Game Choo Choo, but okay. Harry Potter as a brand is seriously hurting. Films and book sales have stagnated, Fantastic Beasts has underperformed, and J.K. Rowling is busy destroying any goodwill people might still have for her. Only the Orlando theme park is still seeing increased profits. How do we fix this franchise? I don't want to.
Okay, so assuming that we are forced to fix this franchise.
Yes, we are.
Step one, we don't just have token representations of characters who are people of color.
We lock J.K. Rowling in a box. Got it.
That's step 2.
And has holes in it. Be humane.
And then step 3.
I'll think about it.
We remove copyright protection, so anybody can use Harry Potter. There you go.
Dang, that's way better than my idea of a national Quidditch league.
You're gonna fight to like fix it. Like what would the winner do? Like what is the?
That's not important.
Okay.
No, it's just to like celebrate Quidditch. It's the only good thing that come out of Harry Potter.
This is just a way to sell robes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Capitalizing under disaster. That's. Well, your last point, Spencer, is a great one, and like I think this is like a very difficult conversation to have, especially like across creators, because for one, it's cool that J.K. Rowling has all creative control over like her property. So like if anyone her IP, so it's like if anyone like, oversteps, like that's like nice. That's like a very valuable thing for any creators to have. Like it's very scary to see something you love, like just get like like look at Star Wars. There's like so many things going on with Star Wars that I don't know what's going on. No shame to that, but it's like there's too many cooks in the kitchen going on, and that's kind of like why there's this whole like fiery conversation around Star Wars and like what's gonna happen, etc. But again, Star Wars is fine, as far as I know. In general, it just began as a franchise. The mouse has Star Wars. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. But in regards to like should we remove like authors from J.K. Rowling? Like, what does that mean for like a smaller creator who's like, oh god, I'm scared of that happening to me. Like something I love is gonna go run amok if it gets too successful. So I think the big issue really here is that, just to veer into a different author. H.P. Lovecraft was a bad person.
Sure was.
He sure was. And if you don't know, you'll know. I will not say how you should find out, but you'll find out. Like the mythos, the Cthulhu mythos is like one of the most successful things that a lot of people love, and like it's cool seeing stuff out. Like I love that shit. Like it's like cool reading about like all the things people are taking in regards to like eldritch horror. And of course his work is not the thing like his work is not like the only things exclusive to eldritch horror. But again, I've seen a rise of exploring his specific creations and like things like video games and especially in tabletop specifically. Now the thing about that is that like even when he was alive, from my understanding, Lovecraft kind of made his stuff open source. And so this is kind of also, so like in a way, like a lot of the things people are making to this day is very detached from him as a person. I think Harry Potter fans need to figure out how to like, and that's the problem though, like inherently legally, J.K. Rowling can like kill someone maybe, like, I don't know, to protect Harry Potter, like, I don't know. But that's what I mean, like, I think like in the future, like needs to be figured out some things in the moving forward as to how to make Harry Potter kind of like, because it's really big anyway, I feel like it makes sense for it to like, but like, how to make Harry Potter more of a collaborative thing, while learning how to distance itself from its creator, because of like her bad shittery, right?
Yeah, my go-to is usually like, because I've always been an advocate for like not having such horrible copyright laws as we do nowadays.
Yeah,
my usual thing is like one of two routes, like the time route and the profit route. The time route is like once a certain period of time ends, like an IP will automatically go open source. Doesn't matter if the creator is still alive, doesn't matter anything else. The other route is like once it accrues a certain amount of revenue, then it goes open source.
Yeah. That's a part of like disestablishing neoliberalism is telling people like, hey, if your thing that you make becomes so popular that we have to nationalize it, that shouldn't be a bad thing. That actually shouldn't be scary at all. That sounds fucking awesome. You know, just a thought.
Yeah, you did it. You made a good thing.
Yeah, you made a good thing that like is like kind of seeped in culture and kind of has this permanence now. And I think and inherently the biggest thing with J.K. Rowling is like she has like, yeah, she doesn't seem to like this is someone who's like gone really off the deep end in terms of like, you know, if we're gonna talk about video games, like, you know, like Hideo Kojima, like we'll talk about, there's no one like around them that's editing what they're doing. There's no one giving them a second opinion, or if they are, they're being ignored. You know, I don't think J.K. Rowling has like real person of color friends. Like I'm gonna say that. Like, I don't think she does. Why is like like yeah, like again the whole joke about like, you know, like she like there was the whole thing where like all these other country like magic boarding schools were developed and they were very shallow in terms of the language used. Like the magic school in Japan is there's literally just one magic school, which for some reason doesn't make sense if one knows how like everyone knows the history of Japan and Japan's relationship with like mythology. Like that's like insane. Why is there only one? And it's literally just translated as magic school in a very lazy way. Like if you put it through Google Translate, right? Like just there's a lot of things going on here. Like and that's the problem. There's like no like second opinions surrounding like people like that, and that's kind of why the things are the way they are. You know, and like she approved of Harry. You know, people hate Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. She approved of that. She approved of that thing. So like, hey. I think the moment she did that, like, I don't know why people like are only finding out like now about all these other bad things of her, right? So, like, yeah, there you go. Too much power. Too much power makes you like that, and that's not cool.
So, into the story, the only way to fix Harry Potter is to remove J.K. Rowling from the equation.
Yeah, I think we figured it out. Yeah,
I still think
in the box,
the Quidditch League.
Put it in the box.
That can be separate. That can happen concurrently. I think.
What's the final question?
All right, final question again. videogamecheatshot@tumblr.com/ask. Anonymous asks: you get to bring back any game franchise you like as long as it has not gotten a new game since before the year 2000. So, it has to be a recent game that hasn't gotten something. This is a weird question.
I like this.
Okay, so it has to be. Okay, so it doesn't. It's not an ancient game. It's a fairly recent game.
We have to revive a 20th century video game.
Okay.
I thought was it released after 2000 or before 2000?
It says
the final
there hasn't been a new game since before the year 2000.
Okay, so yeah, we're reviving a 20th century franchise.
Lost to the 20th century.
I think I know John's answer. Mock Rider.
I'll take that. Sure.
Is that your answer? I was guessing.
It can be. Sure.
I don't think the world is ready for a Dig Dug sequel.
Ooh.
There's been Dig Dug games in since 2000.
Been.
Yeah.
There has
on the DS. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
It was one of the first ones too, I think, on the DS.
I still don't think the world's ready for it, though.
I mean, that's fair.
See, my problem is like I would say Thief, but they had like
They did
a new game, and then like even before that, like the third Thief game was released in like 2003. So
yeah.
Excuse me. Man, that inspired me, Spencer. I want to go old school too. I know the franchise that needs to come back is Robotron.
All right.
Which hasn't had a game since I'm pretty sure the N64 with Robotron 64, which was very special to me. It is an N64 ass video game.
Yeah. All right.
This is a hard question just because like I can't like a lot of those games are like really old and
I love it when our question segment goes over 30 minutes because these questions are so fucking good.
They're too good.
I was talking about like, huh?
Ellie, do you have something?
I was saying, I don't know if people know about this, like Dungeon Keeper. There was going to be a third one. It literally is what it is. You literally are making a dungeon. Like it panders to D&D people. Like there was supposed to be a third one. Like at some point, but it got canceled, unfortunately. And there were 2 of those games, so it would have been interesting to see something like that like come on like today. I don't know. I feel like it would do really well pandering to like certain folks. You're on the side of evil, and you're like. You are the ones, like, you're making the dungeon on the, like, as the monsters, and you're trying to protect it against the heroes.
Elvie, I do have to burst your bubble a little bit.
Uh-huh.
There was that mobile Dungeon Keeper game that was a piece of shit. So you know,
oh really? I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, you know.
Oh, maybe that's why.
Yeah, that's why EA did that.
Maybe it's meant to be made to be buried.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll still give that to you because there should be a new one of those, like an actual one.
A new one that's good. A new one that's good. But the thing about it is, it's a sort of game where I think many other games have done this kind of thing already, so it makes sense why they wouldn't, keep going with it. But this is a hard question because I feel like a lot of other things I'm thinking of have had some sort of, like this, like had some sort of incarnation of it already, like, made into 2000s, even though it might not be part of that series per se. Yeah, like, what hasn't been remade or rebooted?
I don't know.
Like everything I'm finding that was before 2000 is something that did get, like, either a sequel or a remaster or just an extra title. Or it's like something like Croc. I don't want another Croc game.
Nobody should.
No one deserves it.
Yeah, we don't need Croc.
Or like it could be something like, I could say Wing Commander, but then it's like I think the guy who's making Star Citizen is the guy who made Wing Commander, so like there's already like a spiritual successor to that.
They were almost going to make like the Chrono game, like Chrono Trigger, They were almost going to make that like a full-on series. And I'm glad they did not, because it just like the premises of like what sounded like really ridiculous. Like there was no need for. I think.
I think I have my answer.
Okay.
Oh my god. This rules. Okay. Clay Fighter 63 one fit. That game needs to be done again.
Wow.
There needs to be a second one. Like, look, I'm all for like really janky ass fucking fighting games with like think about how good the graphics would look for the horrible like clay models. Like you could actually make like Claymation nowadays with the technology you could do.
I don't want to think about that shit anymore. Fuck that.
It's honestly the only game I can think of that like fits these qualifications. As long as they don't bring Earthworm Jim back, I'd be ready for another Clay Fighter game.
Blue suede goo. Is that what we're going to talk about today?
What?
I mean, I was just giving my answer, so.
All right. Well, you know what? There you go. Thank you for your answer.
You really don't like Clay Fighter that much?
No. If I don't.
Well, I guess the only other... Okay, hold on. The only other answer I have is Glover.
Yo! Okay. Glover 2 real!
I like that answer, actually.
All right, we'll go with Glover then. Glover, because I actually liked Glover a lot more than Clay Fighter. I just think Clay Fighter would be a funny one. Mm-hmm. So, all right.
Well, that should be it. All right. Thank you so much for sending in questions, and thank you all for being on. That should do it. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at VGChooChoo. Our Tumblr is videogamechoochoo.tumblr.com/ that's only if you want to send a question. You add a /ask to that. You can check us out on Facebook too. Elfie's been doing a really good job getting stuff on Facebook, so search Video Game Choo Choo on Facebook. You can check that out.
Like and follow.
Yes. You got the Discord server, which is you type in thegamesout.zone on your PC or Mac or whatever else, and you can get sent that right there, and you can join the Discord server. We have a YouTube channel. Just search Video Game Choo Choo. We're posting a new video every week. We just posted the newest episode of Spyro, and next week we'll post Sekiro. But if you want to see that stuff a week early, or if you want to listen to our anime podcast, Chuchigatra Unlimited Train Works, a week early, which LV is also on, can go to patreon.com/VGCC and just give us $3 a month, and you'll be able to get stuff a whole week early, which is a really nice deal, I think. Also, thank you to Magic Circuit for our theme song Crush off of the album Magic is Real. If you want to listen to more Magic Circuit, it's Magic Circuit on Spotify. If you want to listen to more of their older stuff, it's meltchannel.bandcamp.com. And that should do it. Is there anything you all want to promote before we close off completely?
Thank you for being here. Yay!
Okay, yay!
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for making it through most of January 2020.
Yeah.
We've only got 11 more months left, and then we're in 2021. Hang in there.
Spencer,
We're really in the
So that would be
why?
that'd be 39 more years to 2050. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
And
We're
then
getting
you can
there,
take
folks.
my stealth challenge exam.
Start studying now.
Sly
All right,
Cooper
everyone.
on Friday.
We'll be back next week with another episode of the Video Game Choo Choo podcast. So long.